Minutes, October 21st, I'll make a motion to accept. Second, the discussion, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstain. All right, as we're rolling down, do the easy ones. Rolls Royce wants an extension of time. Where did Mr. Rolls Royce go? Phil leave us? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where he went. He's here somewhere.
He was here a moment ago.
Well, we can't do it without him. Phil? Phil? No, we're out of time.
Wouldn't be the first.
Okay, now we have a discussion on 110 Norfolk Street for Rolls Royce, and you want to extend the construction for a year?
From the building permit, which is next January.
Okay, well,
Basically, you all know what happened in between the permitting of that and now.
yeah,
So construction didn't finish.
so he's still in construction, okay. I'll make a motion to allow extension time up through January 3rd, 2020.
Three. It says
You want
two.
three?
It
Yes.
Okay.
says two.
It says two. I get paid for that. Okay, I have a motion up through 2023, January 3rd. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed, abstained? No charge for the,
Thank you very
Change.
much, I appreciate it.
all right, can't do the website, Phil's not here. Tall Pines, we don't have much on that, do we?
It was just the input from,
Okay, that is now going and they're taking action, right?
do you
Okay.
want, can I tell him it's all set to go, or?
Yeah.
Cal had some questions on it, actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, top letter.
All right. Oh, he just wanted, okay, I think we all got this? Or not?
Don't remember. There
He
was
just wanted to
something.
know that it's 400 Old Post LLC, and he wanted subsequent acceptance. He wanted public way to be shown as
It's not.
sabatudes or
Sabotes.
saboides, whatever. And, yeah, he just wants it the way we normally take it. That was his comments back to town council, and he copied Gladstone. So there's no action for us to do right now.
Can they proceed?
Yeah. Should. It's 54 Peach Street. We don't have a final, correct? Last time we talked.
Yeah, that was again, that was, have Carl's representative.
Chris, you know anything about Peach, or is it just what Kyle wrote?
We came up with the comments together.
Okay.
I went out and saw what was done, and they still have some work to do.
So
Signs to install.
he's got a Form H he hasn't done, right?
Correct.
You don't got an as-built?
Nope.
They gotta figure out how they're gonna mill and pave Peach, and what they're gonna
That
do.
was the one we were unsure if we were gonna do it or not, because we do have a water main job in the works. for
Yeah,
Peach Street.
Well, the paving on Peach has nothing to do with us. That's the selectmen, so I don't care, but from a taxpayer, he was supposed to do it anyway, so we're gonna give a freebie? No, my opinion, no.
Nope.
Contribute to the fund. The lamp posts, we need those because they didn't want
A light.
light. And they, recently, I think Kyle sent me something that says, well, there's gonna be ones next to us on the next one. Yeah, what does that got to do with this one? And, oh yeah, they need that sign, so that's not ready to go, correct?
Correct.
And they know all this? Okay, there's no action for us on that. Rolls Royce took care of Peach, Tall Pines, and the other one we can knock out right now is an A&R on South Street, I believe. Now, a little history of this. This is the little house just up from the police station that's been boarded up, number 93. The other house is owned by, I remember the Shepherds lived there. So they're taking what was wants land from Shepherd's and giving it to this other house. He has the right frontage. Lot B doesn't have anything, was always, I guess, malnutritious, if you want to call that. Didn't have enough, but he's adding to it. So he's not making it any more non-conforming. You can help improve it, but he's not going the other way, so they can do what they want. So there's no reason for us other than to make sure. And I think we had comments. Chris, you look at this?
No, I didn't.
Okay, but we do got this is general residence, and he needs the frontage of 100 feet, which he seems to have.
Mr. Chairman, I'm here if you have any questions.
Oh, it's your plan, John? Oh, all right, you have the frontage, correct?
Yeah, I can just show you real quickly. So the level, probably the smallest lot in Walpole with the building on it, it's about 2,000 square feet. So the owner of this bought this,
Yep.
and he has extra lands here and extra frontage, which is this, which is in blue, right here. And so he's gonna convey this to that. Of course, as you said, this will still remain non-conforming both in frontage and area, but it's getting larger, we're getting closer, and this lot will remain conforming in frontage and area.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it.
Existing house on lot 21 will remain, is that correct?
The existing, both houses are to remain. No, neither one of these
Oh,
houses.
both houses will remain, okay.
Both houses are to remain. Neither one of these houses are proposed to be taken down. Both non-conforming as far as front setback. But the new lot line in between the two lots, the house at number 97 will still remain conforming as far as side yard. In fact, it's conforming by quite a bit. It's 28.8, where I think 15 is the requirement. So this, anything we're doing is creating more conformity with number 93. Just trying to get it as much frontage and land area as possible.
Anybody have any questions?
How big will it make that lot, John? Did I miss that? The new,
So the lot, when it's, once it's combined, will be 8,072 square.
oh, it's right there,
feet.
yep.
Where it's currently 2,063 square feet.
Thank you.
As I said, it's the smallest lot in Walpole with a building on it.
All right, any further questions? Okay, I'll make a motion to endorse. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Get the,
Markers.
yeah, guess these won't do it as good. All right, John, you have to wait till we get unless you gotta,
I can just pick it up.
we gotta, all right,
Waiting for Kate to come back.
you got a Sharpie with you?
Needs- I got a Sharpie.
Oh, you do? Oh, we can use that then.
I got two, actually.
Next time, John, come with prepared.
Bill probably has it.
Want to just pass those down, please?
Yeah, all you gotta do is sign the Mylar. Did you sign? Oh, there it is, yeah. Just the one Mylar. You're all set.
Mr. Conroy,
Yes?
could you turn the microphones on, please?
There is no microphones in the room. It's us
Those
I
are,
assumed those were microphones and were working.
for the cable.
Then could everybody speak up for the little old lady in the front row, please?
Where is she?
Thank you.
See, you can hear.
Yeah, but it's a straight, just a little bit, please.
Okay. Usually they tell me not to yell.
we're in trouble now.
Okay. All right. Here you go, Johnny.
Okay.
Adios. Unless you're here for something else?
No,
This is it?
yeah, thank you.
Bye, John.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Have a good night.
All right, hearing, being after 7:05, we have a continued public hearing for Bristol, and... Okay. Current discussions, they would like, Bristol Brothers would like to continue the hearing until November 18th. Do we need an extension for this?
They are actually,
What, through April, aren't they? or something?
no, they want to go to November 18th.
No, I
so they're
understand,
all right.
but they're
We're
all right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they want to go at 7:15
Okay.
because they're doing a modification at 7:16.
Are they actually doing something?
Well, okay, wait a minute. It's two different things.
Right, subdivision?
Yeah,
Which is that?
okay, but they didn't say they didn't say anything about the subdivision. Did they ask anything to extend that?
They don't need an extension.
It was on for tonight,
Right, but they just want to continue.
but it doesn't say that.
What does it say?
Per our earlier conversation, we'd like to request a continuance on the hearing, of the subdivision until, they want to extend it through the 18th. But you say they're coming in with something else.
On the 18th.
Which has nothing to do with
No, it has
this.
nothing to do with that.
Okay.
They just want them at the same time.
All right, well, the hearing is scheduled tonight, is now continued until November 18th, at what time?
7:15.
7:15?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So in our rules and regulations on subdivisions, under public hearing, after the third request for an extension of time,
renotice.
they have to renotice.
Yep.
So are we requiring them to renotice?
Might as well, right? If continuing, I don't think there ain't many people up there, but yeah, they can renotice.
I mean, we asked them
Yeah, we've asked other people to do it.
again and again. I mean, it's
Update us.
not fair to the.
No, it's not.
Well, they're gonna have to renotice, and the other thing is, whatever they bring in on the 18th, they're gonna have to ask for a modification. And
They're
we-
looking for a determination, minor or major.
Oh, and then they'll come back. All right, so they,
Industrial subdivision.
No.
no, for their-
For the
AQP.
site plan and the special permit, of which you
okay.
can't modify, so.
Okay, okay.
now that's the other thing, is we don't know whether you can even do a modification. I don't think you can on a special permit. Are you here for Bristol?
No, but
Oh, you haven't
summoned,
set-
so I'm waiting.
Oh, you haven't sat down? How do you know you're next?
She told me so.
Okay. All right, well, Sarah's, we should, exactly what you said, they're gonna have to do it, Kate.
Okay, re-advertise?
Yeah.
Do you want them to, do you want to tell them that on the 18th, or do you, so they do it together, or do you want to?
If there's time
Well,
to
they're
do
gonna
it
have
now.
to, what they're gonna do, yeah, they'll have to do it for the next time, because when they come in, they're gonna have to go again for the Bristol, for the subdivision. And then they come back, so, yeah, tell them they're gonna be, they go from major, minor, to however we determine it, at that time, they'll have to
They're not going to have
renotice.
time, because it's the 18th.
I
so
know,
they'll
that's
have-
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so, tell Bristol, right, on the 18th, we'll see them. And then we'll tell them that night, you gotta renotice when we come back for the biggie.
This is Garden Path Estates.
Okay. Next hearing is,
Green cards. I do.
okay, all right, with the hour being after 7:10, we'll hold a public hearing November 4th at 7:10 on application from the estate of John LaPaulus, care of Mary Kelly, personal representative, 196 Sandus Drive, Laconia, New Hampshire, having submitted definitive sub-plan for a 6-lot subdivision with waivers located 585 Main Street, Walpole.
Washington.
What this says.
What, I'm sorry, there's one thing.
It says Main Street, doesn't say Washington.
Really? Okay.
Who did that?
Probably me.
You sure you, or just better check? I don't think it's you. Oh, you would've got it. Don't they do the advertising and everything, Kate?
They noticed the abutters.
Okay.
says Washington, so my mistake.
How'd it go in the paper, though?
Maine.
Maine?
Danny, you got it?
Well, I'm gonna ask another procedural question before we actually take any testimony, so it may be a moot point. Just asking, I believe this board doesn't have the Mullen Rule, but I would like to confirm that.
We do.
We have
Do
it.
now.
We do.
All right, so Phil can get read in if we open tonight.
If he chooses to.
Yep.
That's a good point, Sarah.
Wait, that's why I always said about the Mullen Rule. Everybody thinks if we got it, you gotta use it. You don't have to.
He has chosen to on several other projects, so,
But
but who
Okay.
knows?
If you keep reading it, it does say Washington.
all right, I'll read the rest of it. We'll make a determination here. Says properties, it says map 27, parcel 257, zoning district.
Yep.
Oh, existing property located 585 Washington. Okay, so we do have it. Was sent to the right place, so. And everybody who got noticed would have came off of Washington, correct?
Correct.
Kate? Okay.
So, I have a question, because I haven't done the cards before.
Yeah.
So I checked off the ones we have. There's one that doesn't match any of the addresses on here.
Danny can
And,
speak to that.
I can answer that.
and then there are a few that we don't have back. Do you,
I have the white slips.
We need them.
That's fine. I'll send them to you.
No, we need them now.
Well, what we're actually going to ask is, we think we should just renotice and
The
continue for a
advertisement
month.
was incorrect.
Okay.
We'd rather have 100%
Okay.
correct, and hopefully Phil will be here. And so we'd like to continue renotice, and however you proceed.
Continue as a renotice, or just pull it back and do it again?
Continue and renotice.
I think we can continue and
The
renotice.
application is correct. It's just that-
No, I understand. I understand, but we also got the other stuff that we need that tonight, the white slips.
I could email them to Kate right now if you have them in your file.
But Phil
But
wants to
if we're
continue.
renoticing it, we're gonna give you a whole new,
Yeah,
set. You're gonna get a whole new set.
Okay, yeah, so, all right, so we will continue this hearing at the request of the applicant with no testimony given, and between that,
Month, right, Kate?
I'm sorry?
Need a month?
you got the,
Paper?
Yeah.
it's the paper that's the
yeah.
killer.
And it just runs out December 9th. Are we meeting twice in December or once?
We've got 2nd and 16th on the agenda.
It's December 2nd and December.
I don't, can you even meet the 9th with the advertising?
The 2nd and 16th is what we have.
It is the 2nd and 16th. It will go in the paper.
Oh, the 2nd of December.
Yeah.
How many weeks?
you want a
That's a
calendar?
month from
That's
now.
almost a month, yeah.
Almost a
It's the
month?
4th now.
Yeah,
All right,
it'll be
and you can
one-
get in the paper for what, next Tuesday? Meet the 2 weeks?
Oh, you know what? There's a holiday coming up. I'm not sure.
If that's at the end of the,
No, it's this week.
Next week.
It's the 11th.
oh, that's a Friday though.
That's a Thursday.
Thursday? Okay.
Right, but the paper, I don't know, they come out on Wednesday, so I don't know what that does to the.
Here, if we go on the 2nd or the 16th.
Yeah, but if you go the following week, you'd
We
still
should
make
be
it.
okay. It'll probably go in on the 17th and the 24th.
And we're good
As long
to,
as you have time, we're good with either way.
what's the dead date for
December 9th.
December 9th? So if we schedule on the 2nd, correct?
I won't make that.
We won't make December 2nd hearing?
Wait a minute.
That would give you the 17th and the 24th.
It will be
Yeah.
okay. It'll go in the paper next week. It'll be okay. You can do the 2nd.
All right. So what time on the 2nd?
7:30?
7:30? Okay, for everybody who's here for Washington Street, what happened is there's been a snafu with some of the advertising. They're gonna renotice everybody that's here, but we're just gonna continue the hearing until December 2nd at 7:30. And this is for 585 Washington Street. And whoever's here will get notice, you'll get another card in the mail.
Correct.
Christmas card or something like that.
I love a green, sounds slightly festive.
So, all right, so you're all set? Okay, so anybody's here for that, we'll pick it up
Because
on
they leave it to the 2nd.
December 2nd.
I wonder if he wants this back.
Okay. 7:30? Okay. Already up there, right?
What'd you say?
So we're already up to Lincoln.
Yeah.
There's no, we can get on. Is it on the website?
Oh, I thought we were gonna put it on.
I know, I did too, but is it on the website? If it's on the website, it shouldn't matter. This is just what Kate prints for us.
I don't know.
Look on your phone.
This is Lincoln continued,
Lincoln continued.
and they will need an extension if they continue tonight.
Okay. Okay, with the hour being after 7:15, we have a continued public hearing for the Lincoln Estates 20-lot subdivision. That being said, it's open and, guess nobody cares. Aha.
We can't really hear what you're saying, so,
We got the hearing open
okay.
for Lincoln Road.
Are we supposed to say stuff?
I'm just waiting for the guys to show up who want to do this. They ain't here.
Can we say let's not do it and call it a day?
Wow, this is unusual, Kate. Are they even out there? Well, they know what time it's supposed to be. I mean, I'm not
I'm not
there.
calling it early, yeah.
I'm not the teacher. All right. Okay, well, them not being here, I'll just start in what we have, and you'll have to go through it. Yep.
Was Clear Pond? I don't see him, again?
Clear Pond, Spring Street?
Yeah.
No, that's after this. Okay.
Scary, Mark, scary.
We were scheduled for 7:15. Yeah, you were this close to done. And I ain't kidding, because had that happen before, Rob. Okay, we are now open, and we'll start with some of the comments from the different boards that have come in since that time. And let's see. And the first one is from Patrick Duchesne, Community Development Director, and I wanted to talk about the new truck route. And that's all Richie McCarthy wanted to bring light.
We don't have them.
The next item up is Board of Health. Okay, these are all, when you clip them together, it's all the same group, right, Kate?
Yep.
Okay. This goes way back. All right, first one we had was from the Board of Health, October 6th. Board of Health, October 5th meeting, voted unanimously, the board approves the plan, and there'll be no construction with a 100-foot buffer. Okay, that was back in 6, before we had any refiles. From the, Reich is the
Board of Health.
Board of Health Deputy Agent. On November 1st, she has comments from the Health Department, and it says from the Health Department, the Board of Health will not meeting prior to the public hearing scheduled for November 4th. Therefore, the Health Department would like to reiterate the Board of Health's comments on the October 5th. The Board of Health also approved the plan and appreciated no construction will be occurring within the 100-foot buffer zone. So they had just sent us what they had sent us on at the meeting of October 5th, the same thing again. We have another one from Reich again, dated October 27th, that said, last week I received revised plans. Board of Health will not meet prior to 11/4. Would you like the Board of Health to submit comments, which they are required to do? And another one was dated Friday, October 29th, we'll jump a couple days later, and her email to Kate asked, they'll be meeting on the 16th, so they'll get us comments after that. And We have something from, of course, the engineer. It says, I don't think we need multiple approvals, but that's his opinion. And November 1st, James Walsh came down asking for comments prior to the Thursday's public hearing. I sent them to him, just reiterating the Board of Health's comments. However, I want you to know they're still on the meeting for the 16th. So, with all that being said, right now, we don't have a Board of Health approval. We in agreement?
No,
Well, you don't, John. Board of Health, not agents.
it says, but
It's,
in the regs it says an agent is acceptable.
yeah, but it also says they're meeting on the 16th to discuss this, and they also had a set of plans that were previous to it. So, if you, I myself, I don't do things like this. If I approve this plan and get attacked and appealed on that, that'd be my own stupid fault. I don't put things out from this board that can be easily appealed, which we know that can be, so. Sewer and Water Commission, they stand on their comments from February 21st.
There's somebody new there, Jack.
Wow. What's the first date of your plans, Rob? Yeah, but this wasn't even submitted to us then.
Is it preliminary, maybe?
No, we submitted in February.
You did?
Yeah, that's how far back this goes,
I thought the preliminary, I remember.
yeah. No, we had two definitive, if you remember, we submitted back in October, and went through.
I just want-
Resubmitted in February.
Okay, I just want, let me check the original.
Actually,
I got them here.
going back.
Yeah, I'm looking, I just want to make sure it's on there, Rob, that's all. Once again, the little,
Where's the date?
Yeah, let me-
revision in May, but I don't see the original date. Where do you put that?
The date plans are dated February 28th, the first date.
yeah,
The
on
dated
the-
February 28th?
That's when we came in right around that time.
Okay, this says
February 28th in Sewer and Water. I had comments in February.
February 10th.
Interesting.
And they had a water study done after that. There's been a water study done on the site that was provided to you. I'm not sure why they wouldn't reference that, but
Well,
When did they say, though? It was on February 28th and stamped in March 2nd.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Well,
original.
as we know, they don't hold any standing on us, because they can deny you or whatever, right?
yeah.
They just weigh in on their comments, and it all becomes part of the plan, since they don't have any new comments, so. Wow. You're good. Right? Getting plans, getting approvals before you even submit.
Yeah, I know. They did a water study for that area for, we paid for the consultant to do that. If you recall, that came through, I don't know, a few months back.
Okay, I have comments that I had done about the roadway, the access road, and I asked Deputy Chief Paul Barry, told him right now the club has a dirt access road, on the far end it forks off, it also has a new clubhouse. I know the dirt has been there forever, the road considered grandfathered, but the club doesn't own the road, but it could be taking easement or an adverse possession. I explained to the Deputy Chief everything around this. I'm sure he knows, but just want to make sure everything's there. His concern is if your department deems the access road no good after approval, would you be have to be improved? Because we want to get down to it, correct? What I
Yes.
said before is, right now you got a road through the woods,
Right.
all right? This is a new plan, it's no longer grandfathered. Everybody agree?
What's no longer grandfathered?
The road.
Has nothing to do with our plan. We're not touching the road.
It's on your property, that's what I'm saying.
Correct.
So if this was segregated from it, but because it's in play, you agree?
I don't know what you mean by in play, Jack.
It's
I'm not-
inside, it's coming through the property, so therefore, they would have the right to say, we want this improved, if he wanted to.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying as long as we don't modify it, it's grandfathered and he's fine with the access the way it is, the way I read it. I got the same email.
Okay. But I am explaining it to everybody here so they understand. But he also went on, since you've seen the email, he's waiting to an answer from the fire marshal, and he also requires 20 feet.
If we modify the access that's there now.
which is gonna be done.
We're not proposing to modify that on this plan, no.
You're gonna take away the fork.
We're not taking away the fork on this plan.
The fork is staying?
On this plan, the fork is staying.
You have a new plan that shows the fork
When we
staying.
modified the grading for the subdivision, we pulled the grading back away from the access road to the club,
Okay.
and it ends right at the edge of the
Well,
road.
he's waiting for an answer from the state fire marshal to see.
Yeah, that's only about whether it has to be 20 feet. We're not modifying it, so we're not building it, we're not changing it.
But you are, it is part of your plan, it's on your plan, that's all I'm saying. You can,
It's on the plan, correct, it's shown.
you agree this is a whole new plan from what was presently there on that whole property?
What do you mean by a whole new plan? This is the plan we've been submitting.
No, would you agree that this plan combining two lots is a whole new,
It's a subdivision, absolutely.
okay, and that road is presently on part of that property, which
That's
would be
correct.
considered new?
That's
All I'm
correct.
doing is making sure that everybody understands, so they don't come back later and the fire chief says, nope, I want 20 feet here, whatever, and whatever agreement you guys came with them, they can't do it. Now they're out of luck. Well, okay, just saying, well.
So we're not gonna change their road access. We're not changing, modifying anything that goes into the club.
If you come down to it, it's actually your property,
Correct.
so that's where we are right now. We have from, oh, that's Kyle, you can do that in a minute. Waltz Brothers, you sent this to us on the 17th, that you'd coordinate and implement with the town engineer drainage improvements, coordinate and implement the sidewalk ramp replacement on Deerfield Drive, and coordinate and implement with the town engineer an overlay of plan. So that's what you sent. I know you probably were gonna say that. Let's see. I have just to be clear on this, I got this, I asked the town attorney again to make sure we know what we're doing so we don't have an issue here. I asked him to interpret on how this goes with the gravel removal. And what he did say is if the developer obtains a special permit to remove gravel from the site after subdivision approval is issued, and the removal will alter what is depicted for the site prep, construction roads and drainage on the subdivision plan, particularly as to elevation grading, the developer would have to return to the planning board. And he says regular monitoring commences as advised to ensure that this developer complies. And what I'd asked him is that, very simple, is, wanted to point out his opinion so there's everybody understands. I asked him on the 4th, the developer is limited to the amount of gravel removal to construct the roads and utilities per subdivision control. And I think we all understood that. The developer could go to ZBA now and get a special permit to remove the gravel, and and then get your special permit. He could go now, get it from the ZBA, and that could all be in our plan, or you could get this approved and then go to the ZBA. That's what I asked, and that's what he's pretty much, he said, I interpret his opinion correctly, so I wanted to find out, do you have to go before, or do you have to go after, or however? And he says the option is basically yours for your gravel removal from the subdivision, from the ZBA. I assume based on the way we're doing here, you're gonna go after?
We'll make that decision after, yes.
Well, you don't, what do you mean after? I mean, if you,
I said we'll make that decision after,
what decision is that?
when we go to the ZBA, if we go to the ZBA.
When
and
you, if?
When and if.
How do you, so you're gonna leave it as a hill?
No, we can build the roads and come back later in 2 years, 3 years, whatever. We don't know when we would do such application.
Okay. All right, let's see.
I'm confused.
Why?
So what do you mean? You're gonna go in and do the roads and then just leave it?
No, we're gonna build it. It's at our risk when we apply to ZBA, if we have to apply to ZBA.
But town council said you do.
That's your opinion right there, right now, and we haven't explored that option. We haven't gone there yet. We're going through the planning board process first, and then we'll look into that process second.
Okay, so,
So right now, you're not approving anything more than what's required for the subdivision.
No, I understand, but by the way you answered the question, it was vague in that I did not know if you meant you were just gonna go in and take the fill out
We
for the
will not
roads
take,
and then let
we
it
will
sit.
not take any fill out that we're not allowed to take out.
No, I didn't get that out of it.
Correct. Okay.
What I got out of it was you might go in and take all the fill for the roads and then never do anything. That's what,
No, that's not our intention.
but to piggyback on that, you don't have to build houses either. You can just let it sit.
You could build just a road and sit there.
Yeah, kind of like Gary Worden did in 109 for a while. Built everything out and it sat, and then he started building houses. Okay, go to comments. Kyle, do you want to read them, or? I know.
Kyle.
Kyle's comments, do you want to read them? You guys jump down my throat before I can say Chris. I should have just said done when you were out in the hallways, just jibber jabbering there.
Could have closed it.
Yeah, I know. All right, Chris Johnson, Assistant Town Engineer. Do you want to read Kyle Baldwin, the Town Engineer's comments, or would you like me to read them?
You can read them. You do it best.
From Kyle Baldwin, dated November 1st. And he says he received the plans, he received revised plans provided on the gravel removal operation based upon the engineering department's October 7th, dated October 7th, upon testimony and input from the board at October 7th meeting. Very few technical issues remain. We have reviewed the resubmitted information, offer the following comments based upon the structure and number of our previous comments or memorandums. And this is, he says Plan 4, is this 4?
This is review number 4.
Okay, so he's working off of 4, I just want to make sure. Subdivision rules and regs, he cites on section 3-1, subsection B, provide a schedule with dates for the requested work on the ground at the time of approval. Plan review on the cover, show either extended roadway and grading easements over lots 7 and 8, or access and utility easements and grading easements over lots 7 and 8, depending on the final resolve to the sportsman property. Also, he wants to show a 15-foot private drainage easements over lots 1, 2, and 3. Sheet 3, label recently created 15-foot drain easement as 15-foot wide private drain easement. Note, this shall not be conveyed in the Form J covenants and shall remain private. Sheet 5, we will continue to maintain that if access divided via Ava Drive, has that been approved, Ava?
Yes.
Okay. To the sportsman's property, then a full roadway width right away through lot 7/8 with appropriate grading easements be provided. Currently, there's a 46 wide access and utility easement showing a 20-foot grading easements. We noted previously the road would not be constructed beyond what is currently proposed. The future roadway stub would be shown as parcel C with an area clearly labeled future area of Ava Drive, parcel C, and the easements should be reserved for conveyance to the town or the sportsman's club. This is subject to our discussion, the boards. Sheet 13, the location of group mailbox is not desirable as vehicles will stop close to Lincoln Road. Suggest moving to near lot 2 and 3 lot line area, provide detail. What Kyle had told me, even though I said we don't care about the mail, I guess they had issues up on Olmsted. Yeah. So if you show it on there, they can't complain. I almost said the wrong word to you
We
guys.
show it on there, but.
Yeah, I know, I understand, but
Right.
it didn't have to be, but it's probably a good idea in the future. That way you don't have all your neighbors complaining that they didn't know it. At least now, there it is, right?
That's what
Okay.
we do show it on there.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh, okay.
Is, now, not that I should care, but the postman say okay?
We haven't discussed it with the postman yet.
All right. I would just make sure wherever you put it and you convey the lots, you told the people, because they'll be down here barking at our door.
If they may not require it in the end, who knows, but if they require it, we show it on the plan in the general manner, so we'll put it where they want. They're gonna have the last say where it goes if they have a mailbox there.
Alright. So that's our last comments from the board. Oh, that's good. I'm on the wrong one. It's the next one. Okay, you'd like to show us what you've done, how you've changed it since you indicated that?
So since the last meeting, as stated in that letter, we provided a 46-foot easement, access and utility off the end of Ava Drive up to the property line of the Walpole Sportsman's Club, with the intent that that easement would go to the town and/or possibly to the Walpole Sportsman's Club. We also showed sloping easements on either side of that, so if they had to build access in, they could grade it out. In addition to that, we did label the 15-foot wide drain easements on lots 1, 2, and 3 as a private drain easement. We did that. We also put in on his last letter, he had asked for a milling on Lincoln Road from curb to curb at the entrance. We provided that on the plan as well. We revised the gravel removal plan to include truck routes leaving the site going to the right through the town of Norfolk. So we added that truck route to that gravel removal plan. That's all the revisions we provided on the last go-around. So I did see the comments. I'm not sure on the cover sheet why I would show the easements. That's really just a locust map, but I think he's probably pertaining to the key sheet.
No,
And we do show them on the key sheet. That's the one that would be recorded with the lot sheets. The cover sheet doesn't get recorded. And they are on there, and they're on the recording sheets, which are the ones that are pertinent.
All right,
Excuse me, Jane.
yeah.
Those
Shannon,
could
do
be,
you have-
any
Yeah,
labeling could
just
be
wanted
added on the
that
final
Shane
set.
Had a input from Norfolk going to the right. It's in his email that he sent.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think you saw that.
We don't care about Norfolk, just get out of Walpole. Norfolk, you're on your own, buddy. Right? Go that way. We're the Walpole Planning Board. What has Norfolk ever done for us? We gave them our high school up until 1960. So,
The only other thing I want to point out to the board is, as you may know, Mr. Walsh has been working with the club to come up with an agreement of some things that he's offered to the club, and one of them is that parcel A. And, that agreement hasn't been agreed upon at this time. However, when this plan does get approved, or however how it goes, and we write the covenant, we would ask that parcel A be released and not be part of that and have to require bonding of the road, because if we do come to an agreement, we'd like to deed that out sooner rather than later. So in the agreement, that parcel A would be deeded out to the Sportsman's Club. So if that's included, and we have to wait till bonding, it could be a couple of years down the road. And we'd want to do that sooner rather than later if we come to an agreement with them. Just something to note when we get to that point.
yep. Why can't I find that email? So, all right, what did he say? They
He
can't
just
go
said
that way?
Norfolk didn't want them to go that way.
So put a cop there. Bust them. Not our problem.
Okay, just wanted you to know.
All right.
It's a public road
I don't think I have that.
at the end of the day.
Just came in
Oh, yeah.
yesterday.
Right.
So I've always argued that on my jobs, it's a public road. Well,
Just came in.
but when you have the developer there and the town tells them, well, we'll make it harder for you, so. All right, now, before I open up to the rest of the board and all members of the audience want to speak, let's come to the gun club. You guys got a resolve?
We do not have a signed agreement at this point in time.
Okay, so,
We'll continue to work with them, and Mr. Walsh has been, working with their attorney.
okay, so that doesn't do it for us, though.
Well, it's a private matter technically, so.
Well, no, not technically, because right now that's been put in play is an easement document, and all I've heard from your side is it doesn't exist.
Correct.
We as a board cannot
You
approve
have,
something
you
without it.
have a title search or a legal opinion that says that easement exists from your town council?
No, we have it.
Our council tells us it doesn't exist.
Okay, do we have one from you?
Yep, right there.
No,
Say,
do you,
I'll
we
read it.
have a title search that was done?
We don't have to submit.
You
a
said it
title
didn't
search.
exist.
We don't have to submit a title search as part of the subdivision approval process. That's if there's it's like any private matter. If there's an easement that exists somewhere, that's a private.
Well, it's not a private matter when you're trying to put roads in there, and if they do have a floating easement, as I've termed it, they could go right through this whole thing tomorrow.
Our opinion, our council tells us differently, so we're not gonna debate that with the board tonight. You wanna speak on that?
I certainly don't want to get up here again and talk about whether the easement exists or not, because we're really trying to narrow our areas of disagreement with the club rather than widen them. But with respect to a floating easement, we did put the easement through the berm. So if it is floating, they have access that they can use.
I'm not arguing, I just wanna make sure everybody's both sides. And when they sign off, they don't come back for issues. The other thing is, if you don't get something, they'll appeal it, and you guys will be tied up for a long time.
It's unfortunately a reality we're going to have to face. But again, I'd rather not focus on that tonight if we could.
Okay. But I have an easement in front of me, but, okay. So, since no one from the club is here to do it, or, okay, I'll ask, I know you're on the board. If you want to come up, I just want to ask, is a resolve? If you just come up and identify.
Yeah, I can't negotiate it, but I can certainly answer. Mark Robinson, Vice President of the Walpole Sportsman's Association, 499 Lincoln Road. As the applicant stated, we have not been able to come to an agreement yet.
Okay.
We are working with them. We would like to be able to come to an agreement, but we haven't.
Okay.
And just while I'm standing here, I guess I have another question. You spoke earlier about the fire department's concerns that if the road were modified, we'd have to bring it into a code, and they stated the road's not being modified. That the plan that's shown, so this road right here that's going through these two lots is our exit road now. It's one way in and then one way out.
Yep.
That's certainly a modification of how we're currently using that particular roadway. I don't know how we could say that's not a modification.
Well, okay, the deputy fire chief has put it out, he's gotta go to state fire marshal for their interpretation, he's waiting for that, so I guess that guy decides. He even talked about paving, but I don't think he was pushing that at all, the deputy chief.
Yeah, it was concerning that you were saying, that if we modified it, it may have to be brought to code, and the applicant stated that they weren't intending to modify it. I just wanted to point out that there's a significant modification.
Yeah, but, once again, it's be the state fire, whatever he says, with the width or whatever. I know some places more than make it, other places.
It's just a concern that came up as I was sitting there tonight.
Okay. So, nothing's happened at the gun
So
club then?
there's been no agreement that we've been able to get our membership or even the entire board to approve.
Okay. All right, thank you for the update. John, before I turn it over to the members of the public, John, do you have any questions, comments?
I had a couple of clarifications I was looking for on the gravel removal operations sheet. The proposed travel routes, there seems to be some wording. Could you speak up? I'm looking at the gravel removal operations plan submitted by the applicant. And on their proposed travel routes outside the project site, it looks like they have 4 options or possibilities they're presenting to us, or possible routes depending on what's time of day and such. Some of them seem unclear as to what they actually mean. I'm assuming the first one, you have 2 A's, Lincoln Road to Campbell Street, to Seccong Street, that's coming out of the main drive, Ava Street, and taking a right and heading to Norfolk, okay? The second one, also labeled A, Lincoln Road to Plain Street, to West Street, to Main Street. I'm assuming that's saying it's going through the center of town by that description, which doesn't seem like what you mean, is it?
Yeah, if they're trying to get to LaRusso, they're gonna have to, they can't go down.
Well, no, this is the second one. It says Main Street to Rockwood Road, which is 115. So I'm assuming that was
the other way.
going right on 1A, on Main Street. But you're saying, you're not saying, but for the third one, you listed Lincoln Road, Plain Street, West Street, Norfolk Street, Main Street, then going to Elm Street and Spring Street. So it sounds like the two instructions are kind of mixed together, whereas you'd go to town if you're going to 27, but if you're going west, south on 1A towards Norfolk, you'd be going down Norfolk Street first.
I'm not following it.
Okay.
I do think one of the routes is through Walpole Center. We go out to 1A, take a left, down to the light, take a left, and down 27.
Okay, so
That's
that's the second one, right?
the third one down.
Third one down, well, okay, third one down says you, okay, so you, West Street and Norfolk Street, so you are going left on Main Street, then left again to the center, okay. The second one, should that have included Plain Street to West Street to Norfolk Street, and then Main Street, Rockland Road? Do you need to insert Norfolk Street after West Street on the second one, to clarify which way you're going? Because my reading of it indicates you're going down to 115 and taking a right on 115 to head through Norfolk to 109.
You'll just tell them all the trucks gotta have GPS, John.
Yeah, into Norfolk.
That's in the Norfolk.
That's into Norfolk.
Okay,
Down by the prison.
yeah, so don't you need to say West Street to Norfolk Street to Main Street and then to Rockwood Road? Because otherwise, based on this description, you're going Plain Street to West Street to Main Street. But the only place where West Street meets Main Street is in the center of town. And I don't think that was your intention with that route.
No, I'll have to pull up a map.
I think it's just misworded. I think your intentions are now clear to me anyways.
I don't, if you take West Street to Main Street, I don't think you can get those big trucks on little bridges.
That could be a possibility too.
Because there's one that's under 12 feet, and you're talking about a triaxle with a big, trailer, it's not gonna fit.
Has your comment been addressed? Will you be, you're not planning on going West Street into, okay. And in the case of the first option, does that negate the, on the mitigation number 9, applicant shall post a left turn only sign exiting the subdivision onto Lincoln Road? If you're going to be taking a right there, you know,
Take that out, correct.
yeah,
Number 9 would not be valid.
okay. I don't believe I have any other comments, thank you.
Kate?
I think we're still waiting on a lot. I think we still have a lot hanging with the Board of Health, the easement, the fire department waiting for their response, so I'll hold off.
Okay. Sarah?
Okay. Was looking for an update on the easement, but just wanted to clarify something that was brought up. So it seemed, my understanding previously was that the access road was fairly well contained within that parcel A. But now we see, like if you look at the existing conditions, there's a gravel road that goes through your lot 7 and 8, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so that's part of the sticking point, or totally unrelated to?
It's part of a what? I'm sorry.
With your ability to get an agreement with the club?
No, I'm not gonna go into the details of the
Okay.
agreement with the club.
Okay, so just, I mean, just for this board and the public to understand that the access road is not fully contained within parcel A.
The access road actually goes on abutting property as well. It goes on the property of the Little Wanderers.
Yeah, okay,
So the agreement with the club has a lot of items in it other than just that parcel A.
okay,
And, you know, that's a private matter, so we're not gonna go into the details of it. But I will say again, on this revised subdivision plan with the new grading for just the roadways, the grading is pulled back away from that secondary access road, so it ends right at that road now. So that loop road's not coming out under the approval for this grading. Now, later, when they develop 7 and 8, that could be some time before they do that. They would have to maybe work with the club to modify that. Maybe they have to work with the club to bring the road up to code. But that would be something down the road that they would work out with the club if they modify their road.
Okay,
So on this plan, though, you're approving, we're not changing it.
okay.
Or
Okay.
or denying, whatever you decide.
Right. So I just wanted to highlight that you need to get planning board approval of your phasing with the timeline, and question why you had the phasing in previous plans submitted to us, and now that has been removed. And so phasing is part of our approval, the subdivision. So we need to see that, maybe request modifications and approve.
When you say phasing, so now we had a phasing when we were doing the entire site grading,
Right.
but because we're just building the roads, we're just gonna go in and build the roads. We're not gonna phase the road construction under your approval.
Well, we're approving a subdivision, and so
Right.
part of that approval is approving the phasing of that construction of the subdivision.
What is the phasing requirement? I don't understand what you're looking for.
That's section 2.7 of the bylaw, and you can submit to us your positive and negative design elements. So this is to protect the town, so that you don't get, a full build-out of a subdivision before, the town can adequately absorb a large subdivision.
So that's the section that talks about how many lots you're allowed in a year?
It talks about the phasing, are you allowing open space? Are you, doing other positive elements for the town? Or are you doing maybe negative elements, which is gonna slow down your phasing?
Right, so then that tells you how many lots you can develop in a calendar year, correct?
Yeah, percentage, yeah. Percentage of the subdivision. And then so you have submitted to us
I
a
thought that
phasing
was-
plan. And
Yeah,
so that was,
we pulled that out of the set now because of the way the grading is taking place.
okay.
So
the
right
submission
now-
to us of the phasing plan.
So the
we should
phasing, the
throw that
road's
out
not
the
gonna be
window.
phased. So the understanding is the lots are phased based on your bylaw,
Yeah,
the number of lots that we can build within a calendar year. I didn't know we had to provide that as how many lots we're gonna build each year. I mean, by the time we get to the lots, in the calendar year, you're only allowed so many.
What the bylaw originally said was,
it's 2.7.
you can do it either, most of the guys did it up front, so if they needed some more points, they could,
Right.
that's what it came down to.
I remember the points.
We had other people that came in after, it's like, it was too late.
Yeah, so we're not looking to gain any points to try and phase it out, to build all the lots in 1 year. I mean, the roadways remover is gonna take us up to 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing comes back to the gravel removal operation and the opinion of this board that this project, or I'll say my opinion, this project is like the poster project that needs to go to the ZBA for a special permit. I mean, I'm not one to require a lot of special permits and all these hoops and things for applicants to go through, but this is it. I mean, this is the kind of project that's taking significant gravel out, and subdivision is kind of secondary to it. And so, you've stated before that you're planning to, I don't know, maybe not go to the ZBA and just deal with the building commissioner, but that's my opinion. This project
I
should go.
agree. I
to
agree
this-
100% with Sarah. It just makes me, it gives you a bad feeling. It really does. You just feel like something else is going on. And I never feel that way, but I don't know.
I thought we were gonna make it a little further without talking about gravel, but. So again, I think the town council's first opinion on the matter, and I don't wanna dig back through the bylaws and find the section again, but in this version of the plan, we're only taking out the gravel necessary for site preparation. And that's all that the board's approving now, and that's within the purview of the regulations, and what happens after, whether it's EBA, whether it's coming back before this board, as this town council's more recent opinion says. But for now, we're only having approved what's necessary to prepare the site, and that's entirely within the purview of the bylaws. And
So, yeah, so we can, however, the subdivision phasing is part of that approval, the planning board approval,
so can you give me the citation again, because I couldn't find it.
Sure, 2.7, and then said developments, this is 2.7C2. Said development schedule shall be approved or modified and approved, including imposition of reasonable conditions by the planning board and recorded at Norfolk Registry of Deeds and filed with the town clerk before any building permit can be issued for any lot within the proposed development.
Right, I guess I wonder why that, is that were you just addressing that to me as a phasing related question, or?
Yeah, that's the phasing.
Okay, I guess from what you just read, I didn't glean anything about the phasing requirement.
It's in the zoning law. It's not in our subdivision.
This is under.
Just so, because we do have, this is one of those that goes to the red book. So just so you,
fair enough.
you could be looking through the whole, no, it's not there.
Under administration of section 2, subdivision phasing, number 7. So, most of everything, that we can require and ask of you is within the rules and regulations, how this is here, the subdivision phasing.
So what you just read though said prior to a building permit.
Correct, but it's approved by the planning board, so,
That could be 2 years down the road before we apply for a building permit. So that's not something we would provide at this point in time, because we don't know which lot we're gonna go first.
I guess that's what it comes down to, is
so,
we're making the election.
yeah, if you go this route, I would just ask the board to condition the approval
On specifically.
on getting the
We're getting relief from
the
someone.
phasing sent to us and approved under the subdivision.
Sure. If that's what you're comfortable with, then we have to live with it.
I mean, it normally doesn't, it's not an issue because people actually want to build houses and they have a phasing to get it done, so.
Notwithstanding, we do want to build houses, but.
Okay.
It might just seem like it's just, I want to come here every Thursday night and talk about gravel, but.
Okay. Okay, so if you are removing that phasing plan, maybe you want to submit a new DIS to us or something that reflects the changes in the plan?
Well, we're not gonna submit that. You're gonna condition the approval, it just says, so we wouldn't be submitting that later until we're ready to do the phasing.
But the impact statement we have is based on,
Full build out.
right.
So that's what you need to know.
Well, but that's not what you've given us. So
No,
you
we're
changed
giving
it.
We're giving you full build out for this DIS statement. Why would I give you a piece of it?
I have to look at it again, but I think you should resubmit that because it's a different type of plan that we're reviewing and potentially approving.
We'll look at it, but our thought is that we wouldn't submit a phasing plan at this point in time,
Okay.
just based on what you just said.
Okay. So regarding the review from Beta, that's still offered, correct? I'm in support of that, and I would like to add some additional, like, in-construction services where they could potentially do some monitoring or review for the town.
Do you want to have Beta do construction site reviews, site visits, inspections, not the town engineer?
If, I think, I don't know that the town engineering department has the capacity to monitor properly this kind of operation.
My understanding is the engineering department does all the inspections in town for road construction. But, I mean, we can defer to the engineering department, and if the fact is that they can't do the inspections, then I would understand you might want to hire an outside consultant.
Okay.
I mean, you can make that a condition of approval, that if the engineering department's not comfortable doing the inspections, and you want to hire an outside consultant to do them, then we'll agree to that, right?
Yeah, I guess I would like to hear from the engineering department, because you know, I think Carl had been supportive of, you know, getting this consultant to review the whole gravel removal operation. And so I don't recall if he mentioned specifically during the operation if they needed support. And then back to the plan, just, we need to see on the plan, we need to see street trees, street lights, and hydrant locations.
They're on the plan.
They're on the plan, this plan we have here, as well as showing sidewalks throughout the site.
Sidewalks throughout the site, stop signs, street lights, all the street light locations down in here. Tree
Yep.
locations shown, street trees.
Can you just point out perhaps one? Which sheet?
It's 11 of 23.
11 of 23. There's all your street trees right here. Road. There's your street lights. There's a street light up in here. Where is it? I can't see it too well in the glasses. I don't have my reading glasses. There's street
Okay.
lights. The street trees are shown, street lights shown, sidewalks, stop signs,
Okay.
handicap ramps.
Okay. I don't know, I'm gonna have to get my glasses, jeez. Okay.
These plans are so light.
And then, based on what you had said in the previous meeting, I was expecting to see that easement that you've created at the end of Ava Drive as like a not buildable lot. And then I was expecting to see a change in lot size for lot 7 and 8, if you've reduced.
We didn't do it as a parcel, we did it as an easement.
Okay,
If the
so you-
board wants it as a right-of-way, then we would extend the roadway. We're not in favor of creating a parcel
Okay.
at the end of the road. So, but if you wanted to extend the roadway through, you could condition that, we'll put the roadway up to the property line. But we weren't in favor of creating a separate parcel and leaving it off the end. That
Okay.
roadway doesn't necessarily have to be built, but it can be part of the right-of-way, and you can accept it right up to the town, up to the property line, when you accept the roadways.
Okay,
And then it would be yours, just
That-
part of the right-of-way.
Both, you didn't want to build it, and the gun club wasn't interested at that time.
Correct.
So that's why this was
Yeah,
just in
nobody wants
case.
it built at this time.
okay,
They want it to be buffered from the gun club. And that's the consensus that we're hearing, that nobody wants to see that cut through at this time.
okay. Because the zoning circle for lot 8 is going through the, I guess it's only the grading easement. It's not going through the access. Okay. And, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that town council's recent opinion about the gravel and things, but, I mean, you know where I stand.
We don't have a copy of that either, if that could be sent to us as well.
Yeah, so that's it, thanks.
Okay. On the subdivision, say not what Sarah was talking about, but originally you guys were probably gonna phase it, correct?
We were gonna phase it.
Yeah, so,
They
But
submitted
now
a
we can't.
phasing plan.
yeah, and originally, and you would've had to have a cul-de-sac if you weren't building out, correct?
Right.
Okay, so, but that's done, you're gonna do it in the 2-year timeframe. Okay. All right, I don't have any further questions or comments either. At this time, I'll turn it on to the audience, and
No, I said, I did go.
Oh, okay.
You missed it. So what I said is I feel like there's still so much hanging
Oh, okay, that was your
that
comment.
I didn't,
I got that.
yeah,
All right.
instead of just drilling it over. And, you know, I know some of it you can't control, and I mean this respectfully when I say this, so please don't take it the wrong way, but we have so many meetings and the people come out, and I feel like it discourages them when we keep continuing. So, you know, for the next one, if we can get that stuff tied up, it would be really great. And if it's not tied up,
When you say what stuff are we looking to tie up at this point in time?
like we're waiting for the Board of Health, we need to get the easement issue figured out, and the fire department waiting for the fire marshal. So those were the things I had hanging, but I just,
So the fire department, in our opinion, that's for abutting property, that's not for this that's not for our project per se.
Well, then why don't you just sell it to them, or give it to them right now, Form A it, and they're out of the deal?
We have it, it's on the plan, so.
But you don't have, it's not under separate
But
ownership.
it's not, it's.
It's still under your
His
ownership.
his comment is if we're modifying the access to the club, then the roads have to be brought into compliance. So we're not changing those
Isn't
roads
necessarily
right
how
now
I read it, but
under this plan.
I read it as,
That's
you
not
have it?
the way I
read
read
it
it.
as if the road changed.
Correct, if it changed. It's not changing.
Didn't the other gentleman just say the road's changing?
yeah, I mean, of course he's gonna say his opinion. It is his opinion, but this opinion matters the most.
I just feel like we have so much, we have so many areas to settle on still. And I don't mean us. I mean, I feel like, I think the club, you guys have to figure out, and I'm not saying you, I mean, when I say you guys, I mean all of you. You have to come to the agreement and get that settled, because as long as that's hanging, it's a big issue.
That's probably not gonna happen before this planning board resides on this plan. We can't govern how that's gonna take place, and that's a private matter at this point in time, and we're not gonna be able to, we can't hold up the subdivision process over that.
It's just, them saying there's an easement, you saying there's not an easement. How does your
That's a
your
private
dis-
matter.
But how does, well, it impacts things if there is one.
It's still a private matter. It's like, you don't agree with my property line. It's a private matter. I had it staked out, you think it's over there, I had it staked over there.
But when we review the plans, it's part of the plans if there's an easement.
We prepare our plans based on the information that we have, based on our attorneys and what they give us and what they do on their title, and that's what we submit. And if there's a discrepancy in that and someone wants to object to it, they can appeal.
I just feel when someone's blatantly standing in front of us saying there is one, and you say there isn't one, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to make sure what we're doing is correct and we're not just closing our eyes and looking the other way.
That's not gonna, that's probably not gonna be resolved before this planning board makes a decision on this project.
Would you agree? Yeah, I do agree with that, and I understand what you're saying, and we made every effort to make sure that we'd be in front of you with everything resolved, but I'd suggest that we're the ones taking the risk of that not being the case. It's not on the board, it's on us. And again, we've given them the easement.
It's not even so much a risk with me, it's more ethical. I mean, I feel like, how do I say your opinion's better than their opinion? It's an ethical issue for me, it really is.
Like, I don't think you're saying that. I think you're just saying that based on what we've submitted, you're sort of taking our truth rather than deciding what the truth is. And again, now that we've given the easement through the cul-de-sac, there is an access. If that was the concern, that there would be accessless, there is an access. So I'd suggest that we have alleviated that concern to the extent that it is relevant to this plan. But it's for people more powerful than me to decide whether it exists or not and where it
Me
is.
too.
Okay, I'll read his latest, Paul Barry, Deputy Chief, on November 4th, today. The existing access road to the club provides fire apparatus the ability to exit the complex without backing up. Any modifications to this access road would need to continue to provide that ability. The current edition of the State Fire Code 527 CMR 1 requires that new fire access roads be a minimum of 20 feet wide. If modifications to the access road have to end up being made, this would require the access road to comply with the current code. So in a nutshell is, you touch one spoonful of dirt, you're gonna have to go to 20 feet. We'll give this to you. That's what he said.
Oh, I've read it, and I read it the same way that I think that Rob reads it. But notwithstanding that, without, again, going into too much detail on the discussions with the club, one of the items that's been discussed and we're willing to do is to widen the road to the 20 feet.
No, I just wanted,
So,
but
That-
the
that
way he
has
come out was, it's almost like one little spoonful, you're gonna do it.
we have to be careful.
Yep, so, all right. Thank you for going back to Kate. Thank you for going back to Kate. I always need that extra help, Rob. Okay, with that being said, anybody from the audience have a question, comments? If you do, please come up to the podium and give your name and address.
Al Garrity, 12 Plain Street. Last week, a week or so ago, we were at the Conservation Committee, and I brought up a question of a major safety issue with our road, Plain Street, being one of the routes of travel for the exiting gravel and sand. I was informed that Plain Street was off the map and they were going through Norfolk. But now I heard tonight that there was actually 4 options of exit. 3 of them include Plain Street. Now, these semi-trailer dump trucks average 8.5 to 9 feet wide. Good part of my street is only 18 feet wide with gullies on both sides. You don't really have room to go anywhere. And that's for vehicles. So if you have 2 of these trucks passing each other, one's going to hit each other or one's going off the road. Secondly, with one of them and a car, people aren't going to be able to be walking the streets. The kids are not going to be walking the streets. We have a bus route that's on that street. The kids walk up to their bus, walk away from their bus. That road is a country road leading back to Lafayette, sleeping one night down the street on Lincoln Road. They're still like almost cart roads. They're small. So my question is, before a project could start and go into action, are the roads going to be brought up to standard for safety of the residents and anyone driving down that road? Right now, we have numerous fire apparatus going to the end of the street on Lincoln Road to the Home for Little Wanderers at any given moment. Okay, so we're talking two years maybe minimum on the gravel removal. 5 days, maybe 6 days a week, okay? 40 maybe loads back and forth, 80 loads total, okay? Someone's gonna get hurt, killed, or maimed if our section isn't. But now if you wanna roll back to where they're coming out on Lincoln Road, either direction, either towards Campbell or towards Plain, they're as small as we are, and windy and bendy and all that. So from that entrance off the site onto a road, which is Lincoln Road, what are the requirements that are going to be put in place so that no one gets hurt or killed? Because once the project starts, things can be said, they're going to fix your road, this and that. Our road will fall apart if that heavier trucks are traveling on it. It's not designed that way. But our roads aren't wide enough. And right now, if you go over that 18-foot mark on either side, you're in mud, because our roads don't have, runoff. Their runoff is dirt. And most of the time, if you go into that, you're going into mud with a car. Do that with a 18-wheel semi-dump, they're going to get stuck or flip or whatever. So that's my major concern. Last week at the Conservation Committee, my concerns were somewhat settled down because they said we were off the book. Well, tonight I heard we were 3 out of the 4 options. And if the town of Norfolk has the same regards to their street, which isn't any better, their part of Campbell Street ain't no better than Lincoln Road for safety and whatever. If they say, you ain't coming through us with that kind of traffic, then they're back on our side of town, and they're going through my street. Now, I've grown up in that area 65 years. I've lived on that street 33 years, almost half my life. Now, our kids have made the way, didn't get hit, and now they're out on their own. But there's a number of young families that have moved to our street or Breezewood that have kids. We have elderly people that like to walk the street for exercise. None of that's gonna happen without somebody getting hurt if our streets aren't brought under standard for that kind of traffic. Granted, it's not saying that just because you don't do our street, if it's not gonna stop the program, okay? People own property, yes, they should be able to do something with their property. My question was, if this property it was zoned agricultural and given agricultural tax rates for many years, so the town, they could afford their property, and now it's not, does the town, does someone owe the town back taxes because they were given the break, and now that it's convenient to build on, now they're gonna build houses, and the town lost all that taxation because it was actually gonna be houses, not agricultural. So that's probably water over the dam, but right now, let's not see anybody get hurt, because it's on everybody's head that if we say yay, go, with the way it sits right now, it's just a ticking time bomb for someone to be in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
All right. Al, no, you can sit down. I'll take up. First off, this wasn't under any 61A. If it was, it would have to come to the town for the first right of refusal to match the offer, and if the town didn't match it, they would owe, per 61A, just like Adams Farm, they'd owe the back property taxes at the highest level they could have been. But this wasn't. Because if it was, we all would have known about it. In regards to the truck path, that's why I said you go to Norfolk.
If Norfolk says...
Okay, I'm going to explain that. Norfolk can say whatever they want. And I'm going to say it about our roads. The legal roads, it's up to the town to make them legal, make them work. It's not up to the individual developers. So any truck coming down there has a right to do it legally. We asked for their route, and then I said go to Norfolk. They gave us options. That's options. We get to pick. And it's not going to be, this one today, this one tomorrow. My option is you're going to Norfolk. Now, whatever happens in Norfolk doesn't concern us. Our decision, at least for my view, that I want in there, will be they can only go to the right. Only.
Okay.
And if Norfolk says no, I mean, Norfolk's gonna have a hard time, because they just can't shut you off from a public street. They can shut you off if the bridge is, naturally if there's a bridge there that the weight.
There's a culvert, an old culvert from Highland Lake. That's it, right at the base of the...
But one thing they don't have is they don't have any signs posted of limits, so they can't win that one. So, as far as we're concerned, you're going to Norfolk. So that will end it. Plus, there's one good thing is someone who works for the town happens to live up there, so if it goes that way, I'm sure that person will make sure everything's going correctly. He has a lot of pull up there. Oh, I shouldn't say who it is? Oh, okay. No, but we do know, but that's also a nicer route, meaning it winds out, as we all know, once you get up by Deerfield and stuff, so, okay. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Ma'am, you can sit there, you don't gotta get up.
It's a question about the topo map, which is behind you, sir. And if you could just, I'm at such a distance, I can see the road, and it looks as if you put in gray, which I take to mean really narrow, little tight lines. Are you digging out to put the road below grade compared to the lots around it? Or is it going to end up being raised above where the house lots will be?
12 inch line theory.
Yeah.
The road is cut in, and this is sloping up. So the road's gonna be down.
Okay, so
It's really
you're
bad.
excavating to put the road in?
Correct.
And then
And and then it slopes up to the lots.
Okay, and then what if somebody wanted to do, again, I'm not even gonna put on my reading glasses and go look, but let's say you wanted to build in the middle of the lot, of one of those lots, how high above the road would you be? Could you put a driveway in? Yes, no, maybe?
They can take the lot down a grade, and that's what this board is talking about as far as getting an opinion from council. So if the lots are lowered to the roadway, so you can build on it flat, the more gravel comes up. Sorry.
Okay, but what if somebody wanted to be Queen of the Hood and look out over the treetops? Would that be allowed? Is it possible?
It would be difficult to build on the top of the hill going up that slope. You couldn't put a driveway up this slope. It's too steep.
Okay, that's my question.
It's like 35%.
Okay, thank you.
The sticking point, not the sticking point, what we've been discussing, so when they originally submitted plans, the plan was to, build the road and then go down to get, excavate to build the houses. We told them, if you're going to excavate that much, you should go to the ZBA for a special permit. So, and then we also said that we only have basically the authority to approve the roads. So they modified their plans to only show the roads. So what they've shown here, you can't really build houses on it, right? But that's not our concern. So we're here to approve the roads, and that's what they've shown us.
Okay, fair enough. And so then it's on them. If somebody wants to buy a house lot, it will be the cost of the lot, and then the cost of the excavation, net the sale of the septic sand, and
I mean, who knows what they're gonna do after? I mean, eventually they may go through whatever process they need to and excavate to build the
Okay,
houses.
One more question for the good folks who are planning to build a lot. So you have a road going along, and you have a slope that's too steep to build on. If there are 3 house lots, potentially, and I say I want the middle one, you can't just excavate the middle one.
No,
So you're gonna have to excavate all 3.
probably.
Keep your fingers crossed somebody comes along to buy the ones on either side. What's the approval process for that?
Well, I mean, either, go ahead.
That's a sticking point.
Yeah.
Their opinion is they don't have to do anything. They'll just go and do it because it's part of the building the house, which is wrong, because you read very carefully, you get to put in 100 yards, or take out 100 yards, but it says in accessory uses, like putting a pool or something like that. So if you're gonna put a house in, you dig your hole, you put your pool in. Doesn't say anything about driveways to respect, so that's where the sticking point is. That's why we have this in our special permit, that you would have to go to take it out. That's where their opinion, I know what it is now, they think they can just go ahead and do it, which is fine. We have something from our town council said, no, you gotta do it
Okay.
per each. So,
Thank you, you guys know all of this, and thank you for summarizing it.
yeah, so it's one way. There's another little battle on the side. We got a lot of them, but that's fine. Anyone else?
Hello, I just want to look at the,
Oh, okay.
I sent you guys a letter. I can take it offline and set a meeting up to talk to you guys about it, just so I have a real understanding of what's going on.
Could you identify yourself,
I'm
please?
Eden from Lincoln Road in Walpole. Our neighbors and I have been talking. I have a petition with over about 40 neighbors right now, immediate neighbors on Lincoln Road, Plain Street, Breezewood, and West, who are extremely against this subdivision going in. It's really around the gravel removal. We have a lot of concerns around it. There, again, as my neighbor Alan was saying about the traffic right there, the size of the trucks, us being able to get around. We got the bus stop there. Not to mention the sound, the constant noise, the dust, the diesel fumes. What about our health and safety that we live there? From what I understand, they're talking about 80 diesel trucks a day, 40 in, 40 out, one every 5 to 6 minutes. That's a lot. That's a lot that you're exposing us to. I'm also really concerned now, if they're now saying they're not even considering putting in the subdivision, then isn't this just a gravel pit removal operation? Because if they don't have plans for
I don't
that.
think they said that, though. That was what I said, and they clarified that wasn't the case.
They have no
So-
plans when it's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen. They actually said that at the Conservation Commission, that it could be years, that it could be 10 years. They had literally no plan for when these houses would go in. I don't know if there's any type of limit. I mean, and then what does that leave us with? You have leveled a hill, you've removed a little bit of sound barrier for us, you've taken away a natural habitat, which is a pathway for animals all along Stop River, and that's what we're left with. For how long? Look at Renmar Ave. That's stopped. My other concern is Lincoln Road is a scenic road. It's a historic road. I learned a lot sitting in one of my neighbor's kitchen about that road and about where it went to, which was pretty neat for me. So my question to you then is, with these road cuts, what's going to happen to our beautiful scenic country setting? Also knowing it's a designated road, what is going to be put back? What's being taken away? How is it going to be preserved? Has the tree warden come out and also looked at this, knowing the fact that it is a scenic road and that's part of the requirement when you're doing any work on a scenic road? Those are all my concerns. So I don't know how I can hear back from you on that. I don't know if this is the time or the place. I would happily set up a meeting to do that.
We don't do, no, this is public hearing. We don't do, that's,
So then tell me
what?
what I just asked. So what's gonna happen with the scenic road?
Well, first
How's
off,
it
that was
put back?
explained at the very first meeting. They actually, on there, the road itself actually dips into their property, so they're not even on the scenic
So
road.
they're doing no cutting onto Lincoln Road at all?
On, that, their property is, Lincoln Road actually sits in that, want to show her, Rob, exactly where they sit. The road's on their property right now, the road itself.
So they're not disturbing Lincoln Road how it looks right now?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, great. That's actually wonderful.
So Lincoln, the roadway, this is the actual county layout. The actual paved road is off the layout and onto private property. And
So, yes, you're not changing
Yeah,
Lincoln
it's,
Road
it's
at all?
already there, so they're not
Okay.
touching it. Yep.
So what we'll just see then is just a leveled area? What would we be seeing?
houses. There's the houses.
But
There'll be
you're
three
not
houses
putting in
on.
house anytime soon, so what would we be seeing in the meantime?
Flat land, grass,
Well, no, what you'll see is
side slope.
side
It's not in
slopes.
the front because there's staging area there and a drainage basin.
Okay.
So as far as the gravel removal, is there a way to slow it down? Can it not be 80 trucks a day? Can it be, I mean, when you're with normal gravel removal operations, it's one every 3 hours. I'm not suggesting that, but I mean, 1 every 4 to 5 minutes is just unacceptable for those of us living in the area. So I don't know what we can do about that gravel removal plan. And then in addition, according to the subdivision bylaws, my understanding of it, so if, actually, I got the regulation, because I sent it to you guys. But basically, the local roads, if there's a playground within 1 1/4 miles, that you need to put in sidewalks. It doesn't have to be on both sides of the street, just on one side of the street. Is there a reason why we can't get that sidewalk in on at least Plain Road, if not Lincoln Road, after the fact? Because we all walk in this area, and it's extremely dangerous when you are now increasing, one with the trucks, but then even after the subdivision is in, you're talking another 75 cars a day going down these roads.
You want to speak to the sidewalks, guys?
We're putting sidewalks in the subdivision.
Okay.
The local roads, because it's according to the subdivision bylaws, unfortunately, I had it right in front of me, there's too many stuff going on.
Private road.
It's,
I mean, the scenic road.
Well, I think you just got yourself in a snafu.
Yeah.
Because you got a scenic road and then you put sidewalks in.
plain.
Yeah, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do.
So you're supposed to be able to get to,
Yeah, from them, so you would have to have a sidewalk, what you're saying, based upon the rules, is from where their road goes all the way up to Plain.
And if they can't do it on Lincoln, they could still do it on Plain.
But that doesn't accomplish what the intent of the bylaw is.
It still allows the children who get off at the bus stop at Lincoln and Plain Street to be
I
able to walk
understand, but the whole
to their-
purpose of that was so that if you had a playground within a certain
Yeah, and
distance.
there's a playground at the end there,
The end of where?
at the end of,
Ball
Plain.
field, she's
Yeah,
talking about,
yeah.
I know, right up in the end there.
What, Rosano?
Yes, I don't know what it's called.
The Little League field. Yeah, but my point is, this was to connect a subdivision to a playground, not just, what you're talking about is more of a mitigation type of deal.
Yeah, I'm still trying, like,
No, that's, I understand that, that's a whole nother thing, yes.
we're still left with whatever's gonna happen and the ramifications of this. We want to have something in place for us. Like, what about those of us that are already there? He's the developer, he doesn't even own the land
Well,
yet.
you
The
brought up- well,
the
your
landowner
point-
wants to sell it and make money.
You went down a different, what I was thinking, that's mitigation, and they've done it in the past, so something to think about, guys, right?
We're doing mitigation.
What,
We're
Plain
redoing
Street.
Plain Street,
you paving it?
paving it, you saw the letter.
Okay. All right, I guess the question, does it need it?
According to the town engineer, it does. He asked us, it was his ask to go out and pave that because it needs it.
Okay, well, we'll have to ask Colin if there's, the other thing, you gotta see if there's an ability to even put them on there.
Put 'em in sidewalks,
Because
yeah.
you might be on someone's property.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people in Plain Street, and they were really open to that, like, they want to see those sidewalks in.
Yeah. But when you get out to, west, they just
The
stop.
side- Yeah,
right?
there's actually already there is a sidewalk on one side of West Street. That's fine. It's
Not the whole way
getting-
down, though, if I remember right.
I think it goes all the way down, at least from Plain it is.
It does?
When they did the two bridges over
Okay,
about 20 years
that's right.
ago,
Yeah.
Okay.
they upgraded the weight, they were wooden bridges. When they upgraded the weight so the trucks could travel over them, they put sidewalks all the way from the first bridge to the second bridge.
Well, that's something we can talk to the town engineer, which is better, sidewalks or repaving?
Both, I mean, actually, it has to be repaved.
Wow.
It has to be repaved.
And a new
Both.
playground.
And a new what?
And a new playground.
Yes, yes, all. But really, that gravel removal, we need to do something about that for us that live there.
Well,
I
one
mean,
of the
you're-
questions you did bring up, since they didn't indicate when they're gonna build the houses, one of the things you're gonna have to put in the plans, guys, is since you say, we don't know when we're gonna do it, and since you aren't selling the lots, is you're gonna have to do something for erosion control, so what you're gonna shoot it?
I'm sorry, the question, Jack,
The
again?
question is, if you guys walk, I'm not saying walk away, you just do it and let it sit. You're gonna have gravel hills that are gonna erode down to the road.
No.
What do you mean,
No,
no?
there's an erosion control plan that all the hills will be groomed and seeded.
Okay,
You
it is in there.
have to
Okay,
separate them.
all right, I didn't see
So if
that.
they're gonna be left over 30 days, then it'll be groomed and seeded.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's in the erosion control plan.
Okay.
So you're gonna cut all the trees down there?
All that's necessary, yes.
So you're gonna cut down the trees on the road, and then all the trees on all the lots where you have to lower the grade?
Correct.
So you're talking also about a major lumber operation. Now, are you gonna be cutting the trees and hauling them out on lumber trucks? Or are you gonna be bringing in those great big boxcar size, chippers that you can put trees in one side and get, pulp suitable for paper out the other?
I don't know the answer to that right now.
Well, I think that's almost as important as the question is what you're doing with the gravel. That's a major lumbering operation.
Yeah, they're either gonna haul them out in logs or they're gonna chip them.
Okay,
And haul it out.
and the noise that you're generating from that
They're gonna make
is
them
gonna be
cut.
amazing.
It'll be nice.
It'll carry for a couple miles. That's ghastly. Absolutely ghastly.
Okay, please, you're taking it away from the speaker.
No, it's okay, we're all in
Well,
this
I
together.
wanted-
This is my neighbor.
I understand, but it starts to drift.
Yeah, no, I mean, we are all extremely concerned
I
about
understand.
the impact on us that live there now. And it's not just because we don't want to see a subdivision, there's serious health concerns for us, serious enjoyment of our own property, of living there. Safety concerns, pedestrian traffic concerns, I mean, there's so many real things here. It's not just, oh, I don't want to see some houses go up. We get houses are gonna happen, I understand that. I just don't know necessarily if it needs to be to this scale, or what, if it is, what's gonna how you guys can put measures in place that will protect us while we're there right now from everything that's happening. The sound, I work from home. And 7 to 3 doesn't work. That bus stop, I don't even know what time they pick up the kids, but it should be between 8 and 2 or something, so that you're not dealing with when the buses are coming down the road and you've got children walking. Something like that. There has to be more there on that gravel operation mitigation.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
My name is Barbara McCallum, 172 Lincoln Road, Walpole. I feel like I did this a month ago, but I don't know that I really have a question per se, except do the residents have a say in this? And why do you want to destroy our home and our neighborhood? Same old things we've been hearing. We pay a lot to live on this street. We all moved here or chose to live here because it's a scenic country area. We're regular country folks. If you look around us, myself, flannels, work boots, ball caps. I could show you some beautiful pictures, if I can get my phone to work, of what, I know nobody can see them, but what a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood we have. There's farm animals, there's horses, there's sheep, there's deer, there's chickens, there's people, there's kids, there's dogs. I'm gonna cry. At this point, we're almost rednecks. Estates don't even fit in this neighborhood to start off with. I am shaking, I'm sorry. Right now, I can't even walk down the street because the cars, they speed. I already have 2 complaints into the Walpole PD by email the past few years, the speeding cars. It's zoned for agricultural, and once again, these are passed on from our parents. We've worked hard to plop these estates. It's gonna cause traffic, all the things Eden said, all the things the other gentleman said, all the things the gentleman at the gun club said. I think that people have stopped caring about people, and the Walsh brothers, the investors, the planners, nothing's gonna change in your life if you do this, not if you don't do this. But all of us here, it's gonna impact us drastically. I mean, I'm having an anxiety attack right here just thinking about it. It's gonna be nothing to you. You guys are probably loaded. I work 2 jobs to keep my little stinking house, and I wanna keep it that way because that's what I chose to do. And I just wanna know, do we have a say, all of us that are here, that we simply don't want it, and that's it. I'm done.
It's a public hearing, you're all notified, you got a right to say. If you just don't like it, you don't like it. That's not in the rule book, as we all know. It's their property, just like your property. They have a right to develop it as long as it's within the rules of the town bylaws. I know we all don't like it, but that's kind of the way, that's the way it is. We're here to make sure everything goes according to the way it's been done in the town, per all our rules and regulations, and that's why we're hitting each little thing to make sure it's done proper, so that if you picked up the book, we don't want to miss anything that we want them, they have to do. We don't want to miss that, although they are responsible if we do miss something on a plan. It isn't up. We're not the final end all. We're like building department. If you don't draw your plan right, it doesn't mean he approved it, that waiver. So that's why we're here to do this. But they do have a right to develop their property within whatever the zone of this area is. But there are other things, that's why we're focusing so much on the gravel. Unfortunately, I was the one to bring this out about 5 years ago when someone from North Attleboro wanted to do it. I knew there was gold in them hills, and I don't think anybody else did at the time. And this is kind of where we are, because that's where the money is right now. It's great stuff, but if you have a say, yeah, you can bring it up stuff. You brought up sidewalks, you brought up gravel trucks. That's what we want to hear. If you don't like it, if it's legal, there's nothing we can do about it. But as long as you keep bringing up everything you want, and ma'am, I understand you lived there forever, and we're going to try to keep it as close as we can to what it is. But for you guys, you can always, there are other legal maneuvers. You can appeal it. You got that right, but that's something else. But
How do we appeal it as a group?
well, you'd have to consult an attorney to do that, and you have to have good reason too. So it's not that not selling it down the road, but there are other avenues for that. But we can't just say, I don't like it, unfortunately. So, you know, I've said that many projects, I sit here, whether I like you or not, or whether I like the project or not, I gotta go by what the law is. And that's what I've always done. I've never turned anybody down. If I turned down just because I didn't like somebody, nothing would've been built in this town.
That's telling.
So, you know, but that's why we're up here trying to do our job and especially digging in here, because you see, we've taken a lot of time, well, Phil's not here, to really focus in on all these issues, because we knew what it was about. We're not taking this lightly, we just didn't go bang, bang, out the door they go. So that's why we have taken the position to make sure it's all done correctly, so. Anyone else have anything to say? I gotta take the people who haven't been.
Brenda Mostich, 460 Lincoln Road. So I guess I just have a quick question. I'm a little late to the party, but I think that you mentioned that you're going to be repaving Plain Street, or that was part of the proposal, or you've offered to do that. But would that still be something that would happen, even if now it sounds like you're going to be taking a right and going through Norfolk instead?
Yeah, we've offered.
Okay, so the other reason why I bring that up is when, in the past couple of years, when they resurfaced or whatever Lincoln Road, it changed the grading of the road, and so that now, like, there's like, you know, land erosion on my property in my front yard because they did that. So I guess, you know, I think that that's something that needs to be considered, you know, along with all of this.
Okay, you have erosion?
Hard?
I'll go upstairs.
You
We'll
upstairs.
take a look at it. We did a water job on the road years
Yes.
ago.
Yes.
Is that?
Yes,
that
and
wasn't that
I
okay?
still have an area that I have tried to regrow grass, and I still can't, and tree roots and everything else, yeah. Yeah, I need help.
Okay, bring it to our attention.
All right, so anyway, so
460.
that's,
So he doesn't have a nameplate, it's Christopher Johnson. You want me to tell you where you live?
okay, yeah, so anyway, so that was,
I'm talking about where he lives at home.
so I think that that's part of, you know, something that's
No, I
really
understand,
important
yeah,
as well.
and the town, when they did it, yeah, they'd have to make sure that works. Anyone else? Okay,
I just had a quick question.
yep, come on up.
I
Please.
can't see it on the plans there. Are you planning on going through Deerfield Drive and changing it from a cul-de-sac into a through street?
Yes,
Oh, no.
No.
yes.
Why is that, when you mentioned the exit, you never mentioned a Deerfield Drive at all.
Sir, could you come up to the microphone? It's really hard to hear on TV or if people watch the video later.
Deerfield Drive is a small cul-de-sac. It's a quiet street. It's basically living in the woods. And there's right where my house is at number 8, there's a sharp turn in the road, and that's at the bottom of a hill. And there've been accidents before where vehicles have actually gone down a hill into my property, which also has a stream that connects to that river. I worry about not only the kids, because there's a bus stop right at the top of the hill, but coming down that hill, if they take that turn too sharp, the truck will just topple over.
Okay, now, just so you understand where we come from.
Yeah.
That's a town road, it's right to his property.
Right.
So they can tie in to the town road.
Okay.
But they still would have to get
Right.
permission from selectmen.
Right.
And if you want, you might want to voice your concerns to them or town administration about that, or,
Right, I bought the house assuming I would always live on a cul-de-sac.
yeah, but if you have, the concerns you just brought are on, actually, the town's, not us, we can't fix that, but
Okay.
they can. So if you have issues with that, you might want to take it up with the town administration and the board of selectmen on that,
Okay.
okay? Because they don't have to show us, as far as we're concerned, Deerfield's a great road. And they don't have to show any of these issues, which they don't have to bring to us, but you have. This is one of the reasons we have these public hearings.
Okay,
So
thank
I
you.
would suggest you go down and see somebody
Okay.
very soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
However, it is important to note that the applicant has said that they're not going to use Deerfield Road for any construction vehicles. All of that is going to go through the new road. So you won't see any of those big trucks as far as the construction. That's what they've offered.
Except at 3:30 on a Friday when everybody blows out all at once, they ain't waiting. So that's what it's supposed to be.
Right.
We know how that goes, but. Anyone else have any questions, comments? No, with that being said, okay. Do we need extension? I guess a bigger question, are we gonna get one if we need one?
Continue until, for what purposes?
I thought I outlined them before.
Three outlines I have in my notes were fire, Board of Health, and club agreement.
The what?
What do you have, what are you looking for us to bring back to the table at this point in time?
I wanna hear your notes again.
Board of Health,
Yeah.
fire, and gun club agreement.
Yeah. And you should complete it, Rob. It's I don't wanna say it's ticky-tack, but it's a little issue, is just find out what, if they dated that thing from water and sewer wrong.
The what?
You know, the water and sewer letter is dated February 10th, like 20 days before you do the plans.
I don't know why they would write that when we paid to have a water study done.
No, I understand that, but just get that, if it's a typo, that's all I wanna know.
Yeah, I'll ask.
It's not a big deal, but,
What about the phasing
yeah, the phasing is,
and the ZBA?
you're gonna address that. Well, they don't have to do anything, it's up to them.
Okay.
So I thought you were gonna condition that as part of the approval. So,
And we're gonna talk to Carl here, ask him with sidewalk versus paving on Plain Street, and if it can be done, and the sidewalk, we gotta find out if,
we really don't have anything to bring back to the board as far as revised plans go at this point in time.
no, this would be off-site mitigation, but one of the things wanna be explored, you heard the people here tonight, that the sidewalk would be apropos. To me, I'd probably more agree that, yeah, to me, is why are we taking here, paying something the town should do, which is the paving of the road. It isn't helping them at all. Helps them a little bit, but if they need a sidewalk, that's my, what?
We're just going by the recommendation of the
No,
town.
I'm not
Right.
faulting you, but, you know, if someone says, we'd like to have a sidewalk, yeah, well, town was supposed to pave it anyway. If you guys packed up your tent tomorrow, they'd still have to pave that road
Someday.
someday. But now if there's a chance for a sidewalk and it can be done, that's a discussion item that we'll have with Kyle, just to do, quickly to see if it can be done on either side, meaning.
Well, we, in our offering to do that, we maxed out, we put a limit on the amount.
Yep.
So whatever that's used for is, either way, we don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah, we can raise the
But
limit
as
for
far, as far as the club agreement goes, you know, I think we've already said that we can't control that, and so, you know, we're working with them best we can, and hopefully we'll have an agreement. We could have it tomorrow, we could have it next week, we may not have it for 3 months. But I don't think that's, you know, we're not gonna be able to have that agreement before this board closes. And the other thing, as far as fire goes, I think you've read it, we're not really waiting for fire, we have the letter from them.
No, wait till the state fire marshal, he sent it in to him, he hasn't heard back yet.
But that's only to tell you if it has to be 20 feet wide if you reconstruct it.
Yeah, but it is getting, if it's disturbed is what, it's new, and that would be new if you're cutting off part of it or whatever you're doing.
We're not doing that on this plan, though. We're not cutting out that road. We've already had that discussion. We're not changing the access in, we're not changing the loop around. With the revised plan, the grading stops at their road. So,
Preaching to the choir, and wait for the fire chief, deputy chief, that's all.
so you want to extend this to your next meeting?
When are they done?
You have an extension till November 30th.
Right, they need one because it's December 2nd.
We have a meeting on
Oh, you
November
want
18th.
The 18th.
Yeah, well, aren't we're before the Board of Health, right? Oh, no, what's the 4th? Oh, okay. All right, we're right after it. Yeah, we can do that. We don't have to agree to it, because we got until the 30th. We can schedule Thanksgiving if we want. December 1st, we're out of luck.
You bringing the food?
Right, and he's saying
Yeah.
he's not gonna change.
I'll bring the wine.
Bring a food taster.
He is what he does for a while.
When he changes a lot, but he's not changing.
I will get that. Okay.
20
there
and
should be-
7/18, on November 18th.
Yeah, what time, we got an opening?
7:20.
Okay.
This edge of the wall.
Jack,
What?
the entrance easement, it isn't listed as where it is, right? The easement to the gun club,
No, there is none. It's just they gave whoever had it like 80 years ago, what it says
so
is,
where that fork is and it runs
That's
over
what-
7 and 8, that's still considered part of their easement?
no, they don't have it, they've been using it, John.
They've been using
But they have an easement that says from whoever had the property in front, so you can, anytime you wanna go back there, go ahead. Back in the old days, what I was told, they didn't
Right.
define them because no one cared. Yeah, well, I'm
There's
just
still an
letting you
issue,
go,
right,
but what they've been using right now is the dirt road.
Right, but the map is showing, like you said, the dirt road goes over, current dirt road goes over 7, part of what will be 7 and 8, right?
Dirt road goes on other people's land. It's on a couple different, it's on Little Wanderer's property
Right,
also.
you said that also, yeah. But right now, it's a de facto easement because they're using both forks of that road?
Yeah, because you go up to the right and you come back, and that's where it's really the narrowest.
Yeah,
They go around the clubhouse.
so that does require listing as an easement then, I guess, that portion of it.
Well, what they can do is come to an agreement that they either sell them the land for however they do it, and they just go away, and they're
Right.
happy however.
But until they do that, there's de facto easement over lot 7 and 8 right now, because they're using that as a access route.
Yeah, so that,
We don't- That's, yeah, that can be your opinion.
yeah, okay.
Would we put in place a grading easement on the back of 7 and 8 to allow them to build their 20-foot wide road if the fire decision comes back where they need to modify it?
No, I don't think they would.
I think they'll either.
That's a private agreement at this point. I don't think, I mean, we're working with the club to come up with an agreement that has a lot more details in it than just deeding out parcel A. There's a lot of information in there. I don't think we need to go into all the details, but if their roadway is changed and they're part of the agreement with, the applicant is gonna work with them to regrade and reshape that road going in so it's in compliance.
Okay.
So that hasn't happened, and like I said, we don't know if it will happen prior to this concluding.
Okay. We agree, you and I, on one thing?
Maybe.
You can't shut them off
I can't shut them off, absolutely not.
legally.
I cannot, no, I can't.
Whoever owns the property, don't
I
get,
don't know, I don't know the
at all.
answer to that.
well, I know the answer, you can't.
Okay, then you're all set.
So I just wanted it out there, so if you can't do it, then we've still got that issue. But, given the fact that we have an opening on the 18th, right after your Board of Health meeting.
We'll take it.
Really?
It's an opening.
11 o'clock.
November 18th at 7:20.
7:20. At 7:21, we will open it, and if nobody's here, it closes at 7:21. You killed 9 minutes of my life there, Robbie boy.
I apologize.
No, you don't. All right, so see if you get the letter from the sewer, just to clean that.
I'll ask them for it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, 7:30 on November 18th, next hearing.
7:20.
7:20, I'm sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry? Can you send me the letter? Yes. And town council. He or she talked about it.
It's in there, it's in the plans and stuff. They have a separate
You
thing.
guys will come up with something different, right?
No, that went through our consultant.
So you mean we're stuck with a truck, 80 trucks a day,
Yeah.
and there's nothing we can do about it?
So the applicant has agreed to a consultant.
Pretty funny, isn't it?
No. And part of what they're gonna look at is,
Oh, so okay, so the consultant's gonna make a decision of what the gravel removal plan should be.
they're gonna advise the planning board
Okay.
about the general health and safety issues associated with roadway operations. This is a public health review, okay? And then they're gonna look at, you know, the natural environment, topography, and things like
All right.
that. And then they're an independent.
All right, folks, if you're not part of this hearing, please take it outside. We got another hearing going.
It's their expense, but on behalf of us.
Okay, and you guys.
Guess I didn't yell loud enough.
That does it.
Yes, we selected this group based on.
Okay, and they're both paid. That's, okay, so there really is someone who really knows what they're looking at, gonna be.
Yes, yeah, outside of the board. And
then if as a.
But don't tell me no.
what do we
And
do
don't tell my
if there's
soldiers.
issues with
That's why going his way is more protection for you people. Because if his wife starts bitching at some of his kids, he's got a lot of pull.
Want a hard candy?
Knocking all the trees and they hear all the sound, so.
Well, the engineering department, they're going to agree to certain conditions, whatever. If
We need
approve
it tonight, Phil.
So if they're in violation of those, then the building commissioner is the officer.
The deliveries at Blessed Sacrament this week were like every 2 hours, every hour. So 2:30 in the morning.
They typically are approved for 2 years, and then if they want to go beyond that, they have to come back and ask for an extension.
Okay, but they've already.
So I'm sitting here tonight like, help.
She didn't tell you she's out getting
What
hit.
happens?
Damn it, I
We
mean,
won't have the subdivision, but we still have.
We need, oh, he's gone.
gee, it was like, oh, I've been out all week. Where were you last night? Well, I was out at a retirement party.
Hear back from anyone.
Stop.
Just
I haven't seen copies of the gravel
boozing.
plans, and I know they keep, sounds like it's very fluid.
Okay, you ready, Phil?
Just what I understand as a resident, you know, why something isn't applicable. All the other components, like, have explained to me, this is
They're
why
really,
this isn't applicable.
they were really bad about it, they got really good
This
about
way,
it, and
that's
then
why.
some
No one
reason this
here is
week it
doing
was.
it. How do I get those answers?
Sorry.
But they're nice, like when you tell them they're
That's
nice.
what I was saying, I can talk to you guys separately, just so I understand, because otherwise
Just
it
need
needs to be like,
Can't do it as a board. You can do one-on-one, but not as a board.
no, that's fine. So I can set something up, just so I understand, because.
Then send me your questions, okay?
Okay.
And I will try to answer, and I will send it to the full board, so everybody has your questions.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'm looking for, is just an understanding of why it's not applicable, or, you know, gee, it's interpreted this way. I mean, that's what, like I said, the building commissioner is at least answering my questions, not always saying, at least answering my questions and explaining it.
Yeah.
And same thing with conservation, it's fabulous, and just said, you know, this is what we have to look at, this is
Truax, you
why.
didn't listen.
And then I have an
They didn't
understanding.
finish what they're supposed to.
No, I know that.
Boy,
What
did
I'm
he,
saying- no,
I
no.
wish he was right here. I'd say, hey, Robbie boy,
Thank you.
So we do have another hearing
never should go
right now.
back.
Still on TV.
Right by you, you said fine, I'll take it up later. And then guess what happened?
I won't be there. No. Okay, all right.
It's
It wasn't my
Katie's.
fault.
Oh, I know, no.
Schedule on Fridays.
I wonder if he's thinking,
Yeah, I know, but if I know
boy, I
ahead
shouldn't have done that, huh?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, on a Friday, you can actually.
I will stay, let me know. You're welcome.
Hey,
You're welcome.
I like it so everyone can see it.
Well, you can see it on the back screen.
Yeah.
yeah, you're all set there. He moves the camera. All right, you ready, Phil? Okay, with the hour being well after 7:30, we have a continued public hearing for site plan 2104 for 130 West Spring Street. With that being said, with the applicant, start.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Phil Mackey, 1256 Washington Street, Norwood, Massachusetts, is Council for and on behalf of the applicant. With me are Ryan and Kristen Lenart, the principals, or some of the principals, Aragon Investments, Doug Anino, the architect, Steve Cabral, the registered engineer, and Michael Wigney, my associate from Mackey & Mackey. We continued this 2 weeks ago because we had submitted the plans, but you hadn't received comments back from it. I'm giving you now basically a bubble chart of the difference between the first plans we submitted and the second set. We're happy to go to whatever plan sheets you want to discuss, but this might help at least initially with the discussion. You're welcome. And that is 11 by 17 of the plan that's there up on the tripod. Basically, we took the input of the board, we talked to the departments, we've made some fairly significant changes. From a legal standpoint, at some point when you read the comments, I know the building commissioner gave an opinion to Sarah as to this being an allowed use, so I don't really feel that I need to beat that horse. We can certainly discuss that later if it's appropriate. But if, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, Kristen has a very short statement she felt that she'd like to give about her company and the desired intent and effect of the development, and then I turn it over to the engineer to go over the differences in the plan, and we can take it from there. Okay.
I'm a little nervous. I'm not great at public speaking, so just to put that out there. So I want to start by thanking the planning board for their time and commitment to the community of Walpole. You're certainly not, I would say, as despised as real estate developers, but I think it's a pretty thankless job. And as residents of Walpole, we appreciate what you do. So we are local Walpole residents. We live here, we work here, and I have 3 kids growing up here. So the community is very important to us. And I just wanted to take a moment to explain our vision when it comes to this project. The West End is not a loophole project that tries to circumvent the goal of the CBD district and commercial space. It's just the opposite. This is a well thought out planned development to try to bring small local enterprise to the area. This is a space designed for today's work environment, where all types of businesses can have a small niche space for their enterprise and have the opportunity to own it. Our work environment has changed, and while everyone in this room may not understand this or envision their world this way, I ask that we be open-minded and see the creativity behind this. This is a community that will attract people who no longer need the status symbol of a downtown Boston location to have success in private business. We envision businesses from professional offices, like a therapist who wants a separate environment. And while 80% of their calls and appointments are via Zoom, they want this space designated for those times, maybe 1 to 2 times per week, that they have in-office sessions. There are many entrepreneurs that need a small space and would otherwise never have the opportunity to purchase it and privately own it. But with this setup, it allows them to do just that. For instance, an interior decorator who wants a small design studio and 80% of his or her time is spent in clients' homes, well, now he or she has a space to invite people in for design sessions in their private office. Another example is a tech developer working on apps or websites who needs a quiet, more high-tech space, and they don't just want that to be a spare bedroom. The idea of detaching from work fits into this model, and there are many people who don't have a home office, and currently that's their dining room. This is a separate space entirely that allows for the detachment process. And it also makes sense from a monetary standpoint for someone looking to be more savvy and to have a tax write-off, as it's separately metered for heating and electric and water. As business owners, we live in this world and we can see this environment. The idea is that your neighborhood to the left and to the right of you are also working in their offices, creating the feel of professional entrepreneurial spirit. We see the community coming here for a local tax accountant or going next door for legal advice from an attorney, or that attorney going 4 houses down to learn about growing their online businesses from a website designer. And right in the middle, maybe there's an artist studio, allowing personal space to paint or create, and then having a small gallery for viewing and selling their art. Maybe on the corner, there'll be a makeup artist who you pop into before taking the train into Boston for the evening. Instead of a large, potentially completely vacant commercial space like we have in Walpole currently, designing these individualized units allows for many businesses, from professional to artistic, to creative, to entrepreneurial, to thrive. And the idea of having residential above it is what makes it attractive and affordable to potential owners. We're not looking to have an if you build it, they will come model and hope that commercial space gets filled. We're investing millions of dollars into our community, and the goal is success. So while this may not be what you're used to seeing, and it may not be the same design presented time and time again, there is a demand for this. And this will be a success because of its unique, creative design and the new economic environment in which we live. We're looking to design a community that is flourishing with homeowners and business owners that establish roots in our community. And while Walpole has had significant recent developments over the last few years, housing is not all the same. Rental units with transitory tenants and age-qualified developments do not compare to this particular project. This is a new construction, all-encompassing housing. It promotes opportunities for young people looking to invest in our community personally and professionally. And it also provides an option for someone looking to downsize from a larger home they no longer need and to live in a new, lively community that they live and work in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We had something that Sarah had talked to the building inspector, and he said it's an allowed use. So you're on solid ground from that perspective. And we're here just for the site plan, the bricks, mortar, dirt, whatever you want to call it, so. There's no need for us to even go into that. It's a different concept, and something we haven't seen, but that doesn't mean we've already got the ruling, so we'll just move on with what we do for site plan.
Okay, I'm Steve Cabral with Crossman Engineering, and as Phil mentioned, I'll just give a brief overview of the major changes we made since we were here last. And basically our goal, or our objective for the past month, was to incorporate as many of the town staff and the planning board comments as possible into the project. And what I have on the board behind me is the same as what you have on 11 by 17. And basically, as I said, it just highlights the major changes. One of the main topics that kept coming up at the last meeting was pedestrian access to the train station, to downtown, and the overall walkability. So what we've done is in a dark purple, we've identified all of the new sidewalks that are now proposed. One of the primary additions is a brand new sidewalk all along West Street from the main entranceway all the way down to the intersection of Spring and West. And we also looked at the location of the units and wanted to make sure that they had a direct walkable site also to the train station. And as you can see on the east and west side, as well as the north side, we provided internal walkways for all of the residents. The other feature that was discussed was making sure that the access from the project down to the intersection, and this is right at the northeast corner where we have the what we refer to as the plaza. We originally just showed steps going down to the intersection, and what we have now are the steps as well as an ADA conforming ramp system, so that it will be fully conforming to the state ADA code. We've also eliminated the original patios that we had along the buffers, and this would be mainly on the west and the south side. We had a series of patios, and there was a discussion as to whether or not we should have patios in the buffer. And we realized that the living space is actually on the upper floors, and because the living space is on the upper floors, there really wasn't a need to have an exterior patio at the ground level. And what the architect has originally designed are upper decks at the second level, so the outdoor living space is actually above each of the garages. So every unit does have an outdoor space, it's just that it doesn't need to be on the first floor patio. We've also reconfigured the interior aisles. There was a concern that our original layout, which had quite a few parallel parking spaces and only a 22-foot aisle, may have been too tight. So what we've done is we actually reduced the footprint of some of the buildings, and we've actually eliminated 2 of the units, and we were able to increase all of the access aisles to 24 feet. And by doing that, we were able to get some standard perpendicular parking spaces, as you can see on the plan. Now, there are two items that did not make it into the set that you have, but after receiving the town staff comments, we've agreed that they would be incorporated into the next submission. And those two things are, at the intersection of West Street and Spring Street, there's a section of the roadway curbing that actually encroaches into the lot. And the town engineer requested that we relocate the curbing so that it's within the town right-of-way. So we do agree that we'll submit a revised plan with all of the town curbing inside the town right-of-way so that that conflict will not exist. The other comment from the staff, and actually this was a comment from, I believe it was Economic Development as well as the fire department, was concerning where is a delivery vehicle, say if there's an Amazon van, where are they going to park? And now we do have ample parking in regards to the code, but what we've agreed to do, but it's not reflected in your submission, is that one of those perpendicular spaces we will dedicate for delivery parking, so that there will be one dedicated spot reserved for that. Last but not least, by making some of the building footprints smaller, we were actually able to increase the setback of the buildings from Spring Street up to 8 feet. So as you're driving along Spring Street, there'll be a grass strip. Then we're proposing a decorative 2.5 foot high stone-faced retaining wall. And then there'll be also a landscaped area going to the back of the units. So there was one comment that someone felt that the buildings were too close to Spring Street. So we do believe by providing 8 feet as well as the 2.5 foot stone-faced wall that it will provide a safe and aesthetically attractive delineation. So those are essentially the main changes to the plans. One of the other, as an engineer, one of the more critical things for me that I feel positive about is the town engineer wanted to see the actual soils to confirm that our interpretation of the soils were accurate, and that was a successful day out in the field with the town engineer. And so far, when it comes to the technical requirements, everything is on track. And before I sit down, the one other item I should mention is that we did receive comment from the fire department about the turning radius, and he wanted to make sure that the turning maneuver of the fire truck would not encroach into an oncoming lane, specifically on West Street. So we have provided a refined turning radius plan to the fire department, and he did provide his approval of that. So in our next submission, we'll certainly include that, for you all to review. So that's a quick overview, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, I do have one quick question, but I'll read the comments after. I was the one about Spring Street. The question came is, you gotta have another entrance out, so you're gonna exit onto Spring Street from the house, right, or the condo, whatever you wanna call it, correct?
From the homes, there'd be no doors in the back.
So you
So
have
none
two-
of the units will have
You're gonna
doors
have
in
two
the back.
entrances in the front?
When it comes to the buildings themselves, I should really let the architect discuss that.
Okay, because my understanding is you always have to have two means of egress. Especially on a commercial building. The other question I was gonna have is the fact that I believe on commercial buildings, all doors have to open out. So if you open in, typically they want a 3x3 area that you step on, but you're the architect?
I'm the architect, Doug Anino. Good evening. So in regards to your question about doors opening on the outside, there'll be no egress doors that open on the outside at the back of the units. They'll all be in the front of the units. In response to the doors, they'll open in, they don't have to open out.
This commercial?
It's treated, no, actually, after our last meeting, I researched it in the building code. It's actually building code has a designation called live-work unit. And this is basically in response to really the common adage in the nation that everybody is building these. So there's a live-work unit, which means essentially at the first floor has to be a third of the total square footage of the building. and that it's treated as a townhouse, so it sort of downgrades it to a townhouse. It's not a commercial use.
Okay.
There'll be a front entry door, there'll probably be another set of doors at the front for the commercial use or the business use on the first floor, but the code's pretty lenient that way.
We as the planning board don't care about the building, other than the footprint, but the only reason I brought that up is because I know you come out, you can't be on the sidewalk, you gotta have your own space, so. All right, that was my only question, but you answered it, and I'll read the comments we have from the other boards. Assume you probably all got them, it sounds like it did. From the sewer and water, November 2nd, they have no additional comments at this time, they've already discussed it. Let's see. Board of Health, won't be meeting until the 16th, so you'll be with the group who was just in front of you, right? Get to discuss a lot of stuff. It ain't hard, because even if they come on at 7:20, they don't show up till 7:30. And I will go into Patrick Duchesne, Community Development Director, and he gives us the whole spiel, who owns it, where it's located, and he gives an overview of it. Parking. The site consists of 51 spaces, which 44 are required, so you do meet it there. Site plan layout provides a mix of garage and striped spaces. He said this is consistent with the bylaws, and shown as 24 foot within the entire development, which is also within the bylaws for 90-degree spaces. Design standards, he says this meets the guidelines of section 1312. He's encouraged by the new pedestrian pathways within the site. And on Spring Street, the proposed 8-foot separation wall, 8-foot separation is an improvement. Signage, any additional signage proposed on the site should be consistent with section 7. And recommend identifying what is residential, what is non-residential parking, like anybody will care. And central business, there should be an emphasis on pedestrian accessibility. And he wants bike storage location, because you might want to ride your bike to the train station.
Did you say something about non-residential parking?
Yes, what he said is you should have signs indicating what's residential, what's non-residential. So, don't forget your bikes, it's like right to the train station. Okay, fire chief, sorry, didn't mean to promote Paul already, but Deputy Chief Paul Barry. And the fire department has following comments. He noted that the site and building required to be continuously to comply with 527 CMR 1, with all permitting, flammable and combustible storage. We question if there's sufficient parking spaces, and the proposed road does not provide enough room for width, delivery vehicles, but will not be able to stand, and fire lane, no parking should be installed. I believe you guys did talk, you're gonna resubmit based upon that. The entrances on Spring and West will need to be reconfigured, so the apparatus won't have to cross over oncoming traffic. So this, I'm reading for the public so everybody understands, but you've already known
He
about it.
submitted a second letter. And he can say it better than I. We owe him stamp plans, which he'll get with the site plan set.
Oh, okay.
But we
Yeah, that's number
actually-
3, updated. The applicant has provided a revised SF1. While the drawing is unstamped and unsigned, it does show the turning radius. So you gotta stamp it, and when I'll read this one. The proposed parallel parking spaces on SF1 depict fire apparatus having to travel through parking spaces is unacceptable. The applicant has provided revised SF1, and it's unstamped. This 5th one, we find these types of proposed structures often present with access issues to fire, sprinkler riser, and access control, alarm control. We request a Walpole Fire Department approves sprinkler riser room with direct access. Nothing to do with us. You're gonna hit that when you do your design, right?
Absolutely.
Because he got the final say, but.
We won't get a building permit without it.
Yeah, well, what he's doing is, they give the access, a lot of people go, huh? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you did, but you didn't want to say that. While it pose not while we are not opposed to mixed-use occupancy proposal, we question how the required occupancy of both the first occupants and subsequent occupants for resale. So that's an opinion, but it's gonna be based, I think Paul knows it's under the purview of the building department, so, but, and you already read these, so they're gonna have to comply to all of them, and
Go for it.
we could've put you on Zoom, we could've put just your name, Chris. Thanks for all the help. I will give you a home address out soon. October 21st from Kyle Baldwin, Town Engineer. This is dated the 21st, and this one you showed us tonight that you updated, was that after the 21st? When you revised?
Those comments are in response to the plans you have there.
Okay.
So that's why we know there's gonna be another set.
Okay. So so everybody understands, these comments have been reflected in what you passed out to us.
Right.
All right, so I'm reading post-dated stuff.
Correct.
But I'll read it anyway. The plans have been revised now to show a sidewalk along West Street with a handicap curb cut. Provide a second handicap curb cut on the westerly side of West Street. Recommended adjusting location of the proposed sidewalk away from the curb, leaving the grass strip to avoid the existing utilities poles. We continue to recommend the sidewalk be provided along Spring Street as noted in our first review. However, we do note the applicant's response noting that pedestrian flow is accommodated by walks within the site. The westerly rounding off Spring Street is outside the road layout. Either provide a note indicating a portion of this locus may be dedicated to the layout alteration, or shown rounding be located within the layout. If the former is chosen, a relocation plan will be needed to be provided. And it's noted the applicant has this under consideration. The current design standards provide for a 10 by 18.5 perpendicular parking spaces with 24-foot aisles, appear to be conform to zoning. And there are two parallel spaces in front of units 8 and 9, which conform to the 8.5 by 21 foot. No definition exists for parallel spaces in section 8 of the zoning bylaw. Okay. The applicant has opined that the project does not require a sign, drop-off spot for delivery, FedEx, etc., as recommended. The board should still consider this as an option.
We've already agreed to it.
Okay.
You heard Steve earlier.
Is there anything in here you didn't agree?
No, I mean, post that, we had a discussion, and Steve already talked about the layout here. We've agreed we'll move it to where it belongs.
Only got a couple more.
Yeah, pretty much, I
Okay.
can't remember anything we didn't agree to in that letter.
Yeah, the engineering department witnessed the groundwater and the soils, and I would expect the soils to be good, or I don't think Joe LaRusso would have dug the whole place out.
True.
Well, wait a minute. They might not be good, because he would have taken that with
That's true. He'd stop.
before you get downtown. Clarify the roof drain connections for the drainage system. We maintain all roof leaders must be connected to the drainage system. And the current revision of catch basin 13 and 14 are not inlets for stormwater, but serve as overflows. We're concerned about these catch basins serving as discharge, particularly during the winter months. This issue will remain under review. And you've solved that?
Steve?
We're working with, well, that's one reason he wants to have one more soil test.
Oh, okay.
If I may summarize, basically it's very good soils, but we utilize in our design a relatively conservative infiltration rate. Carl recommended that we do basically a perk test, the wing infiltrometer test, because he feels the soil can absorb more water. And if we do that test, he recommended that we update our calculations, which will show that instead of reducing the volume leaving the site by, say, 90%, which we do now, it may actually be 99%.
Okay. Utility service inverts. Provide the building how these inverts are 8 to 10 feet below the floor. If there are no basements, this would be unusual. Assume you need it 8 to 10.
There are basements.
Oh, there are basements. Oh, okay. Oh, if there are no basements. I thought your plans did show them, okay. No fire service is shown, the issue will be clarified with the, should be clarified with the fire service shown on the utility plan. 4-foot sump catch basin has been provided, no to hood, cast iron or PVC eliminator on the detail. The presence of a wear orifice in the baffles of drain manhole 2 and 10 will remain under review. And landscape plan, driveway sight lines are now shown on landscape plan. However, the plantings along the southerly sight line on Spring Street appear to be very close. We recommend modifying on the landscape plan and drainage and narrative. Design remains under review with Crossman Engineering, and we're available for any questions or comments. So that is Kyle's, and since you've seen them, that is only comments I had from any other boards to date. That being said, I will open up to our board first, and I'll go this side, Sarah.
Okay. So I'm very happy with the improvements you've made to pedestrian flow and vehicle circulation, changing the pedestrian entrance there with a ramp. This is all much appreciated. Just wanted to call your attention to the guidelines, design guidelines within the CBD. Just specifically looking for adherence to section E, which is entranceways, and F, which is windows. So for those roads that are outward facing, that would be Spring and West, that they have a nice appearance of, you know, open and business appearance.
I think you'll be happy.
Okay.
That was on our prior, wasn't that on our prior presentation?
What?
Remember they gave us the big book?
Yeah.
You gave us the big.
I don't know if it's changed, but this has got some of
Not
this
terribly.
Yeah, right, yep.
Put it right there. And this time Sarah actually is able to see it.
This is an old,
Okay. And so there's certain, you know, guidelines as far as percent transparency and, you know, to make sure that the businesses on the front are, you know, nicely designed with a good appearance. But then just,
Like, we'll meet or exceed any of them.
okay, okay, good. Just to go back to what the chair was mentioning, so there are gonna be no entrances on the, for the public on Spring or West to those
No.
businesses?
There are.
None.
All the entrances are internal, so.
Okay. Because these elevations that we got on the first set do show some.
Well, these aren't entrances, they're big,
These big
glass
windows?
areas.
Okay.
There's picture windows,
I
there's
see, okay.
full height glass areas, but they're not entrances.
I see.
Mainly to enhance the elevation from the street
Okay, okay,
and provide glass to the office space.
okay. And then, so the wall that you have along Spring Street, you called it a decorative wall, so that's not needed for any kind of retaining wall?
We are using it, so it's 2.5 feet tall,
Uh-huh.
so it will be a retaining wall. And
Okay.
the exposed space will be stone.
Okay, okay. And the way that it winds, that's,
It's just meant for aesthetic.
Well, we
Looks-
tried to-
looks nice.
We didn't want just a plain wall there, so.
okay,
It winds, it does
But it's functional.
curvilinear
Okay.
effect. Thomas Jefferson did that in University of Virginia. It just makes it more elegant.
okay, okay.
I can get you the guy who tried to build it straight, and it's gonna come out just like that.
Okay, so then, just to highlight what the deputy chief said, if there's gonna be one-way traffic, to add pavement markings to the plans? Yes, okay. And then I'm not sure who it was, someone had requested the dimensions to those parallel spots? And if you could, if those are different from the typical spots, to add the dimensions? Personally, I think both of those spots could be, maybe you could designate it like 15-minute loading or something like that. I think that might be, as far as.
We'll take a look at it.
You mentioned one spot, but I'm just thinking 22 businesses, everything's getting delivered by Amazon all the time. I mean.
Sure.
I would like to see that. Okay, you've added that. There was a question, I believe it was Pat DeShane's asked in an earlier submittal about handicap spaces and stating that there should be 3 for this development.
Oh, that would have been when we had more parking, but now we only have 7 parking spaces that are associated with the residential units. Therefore, we only require to have 1, which we do have in one of the perpendicular spaces.
So you're not assuming any parking for the central business district? I mean, for the, like, for the commercial part?
Each unit has a minimum of 2 spaces, and then we have an additional 7.
Uh-huh.
In the zoning code, based on the zoning, we're not required to have any parking for the commercial use. We're
Correct,
required
but you do have it, so.
We're required 7.
Right.
And because we have 7, we're adding 1 handicap parking.
Okay.
The initial submission had much more than, I believe we had a total of 66 spaces.
Okay,
You get 22 extra.
okay,
And that required the 3 handicap. We now only have 7 extra, that requires 1.
okay. I don't know, Jack or anyone, do you remember when that 95 West had to come back for the parking lot across because there was no handicap spots and they had to add? Do you remember we did like a revision?
No,
That wasn't why they came back, though. They came back because,
But they, originally they had no handicap spots.
no, they had him. He for some reason, the building inspector wanted more, and they
Okay.
agreed to it.
Okay,
You weren't involved, right? You're with
No,
Park, and that
that one had
was
nothing to do with me.
Manzo, yeah. Yeah, they came back for curb, and next thing you know, it opened up, and he
Everything,
wanted,
yeah.
he wanted more, so. And
Okay.
the other thing, Sarah, is, at the time, they had more than enough, so they said, fine, we'll give you the extra space, it doesn't hurt us. I mean, so they still complied, and they gave him what he wanted.
okay. But your assertion is the required handicap is based on the 7 extra spots you have?
Yeah, yes, in the code, the number of handicap spaces is a function of the grand total parking that we have. So the fewer spaces, the fewer the handicap.
Right,
That was in
okay.
the parking code?
All right, let me look at that again.
somebody has to have 1.
So question, is the spot that you have, is it van accessible? And,
Maybe it's 6, I'm not sure.
okay, and is that labeled on the plan, the different dimension of that?
Well, actually, they all are 10 feet wide, because that's what the town requires.
Okay. Also 10 by, okay, so 10 by 18 and a half for that, okay. And then the striped landing, that's dimensioned on the plans?
Oh, I'm sure.
It will be by next time.
Okay. Okay. And then if there's any details or signage that you need to include with the set, as far as that handicap spot. The crosswalk at Weston Spring. Just a question, so at Weston Spring, you're adding the crosswalk lines,
That's what we're proposing, yes.
and then the ones that go, north to the train station, those you're not touching? Or are you improving or?
Existing, we may, certainly, could restrike them if they're dull.
It would be good to have, it all nice together, if that's, okay. 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 So again, I'm happy to see the sidewalks. It looks like they're 4 feet wide. Inside the project and 5-foot wide outside. I would like wider, but that's nice, at least. Question, does the sidewalk continue as you're going east, down at the bottom, going
This way?
on the
Down
bottom, in front of 8 and 9? Are there sidewalks there? Looks like it stops.
Oh, the sidewalk goes all the way from, it begins.
In front of unit 8 and 9. Down here.
Oh, actually, in front of those two units. Based on the location of those units,
Mhm.
where the doors were, we felt that it really wasn't needed for their circulation. We felt that they would probably go either left or right. But that certainly would be an issue. But we really felt that the main battle factor is going to be north.
Okay. I'm just imagining somebody parking in the handicap spot and they come over here. So there's no sidewalk there, so you're asking them to travel in the vehicle pathway, let's say to go over to unit 4.
Right now, yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
People walk in driveways all the time.
Well, yeah.
And crutch and wheelchair and every other thing that I've put myself through.
Yeah.
What we did do in front of each of the driveway parking, the width of the area of parking does not include an area for them to people to park. For example, we're gonna have like a brick pattern in
Yeah.
front of each driveway.
Uh-huh.
So the length of the car will not extend into that brick pattern.
Okay, good, yeah.
It's like an apron design
Yeah.
to soften it. Some of it is a balance of having green in the front,
Mhm.
not just behind. So like, and obviously with a wide travel space. So just being aware of like how much pavement and not, and that's why we kind of designed the cobbles at the end of the driveway to mimic and look like it would be a little bit softer.
Mhm.
And then still be incorporate green space for plantings and stuff like that.
Okay. I don't know. I would like to see a sidewalk, but there's also an issue of, I think you're using that same area as snow storage. So, that's a little unusual. But
So the parking places are being used for snow storage?
no, there, it's like,
Usually we
like
have-
a front area of of those units.
Yeah, and basically, as you can see from the plan, there's very limited areas for snow storage, so we do have a requirement that during any major event, it would have to be hauled off-site.
Yeah. And we would probably add like a condition similar to that. Okay, and then at the top of the site, going onto West Street, on my left side, which is I guess the west side, is there a handicap ramp to enter onto that?
There is a ramp to come into the site. One of the comments that Carl had
Uh-huh.
was that he preferred that that ramp be extended all the way around the radius to the west.
Okay,
And we had agreed that we could do that.
Okay.
And his reasoning, I'm sure, is that if the town ever extended the sidewalk, then all would be okay.
okay, so you're planning to do that, okay, good. Okay. Just a question, and this is not like before us or whatever, but are you considering separating any of the business and residential units or like separate ownership?
No.
Not at all? Okay. Okay. And could I just hear about the buffer between the new buildings and the residential next to it? What are you planning? Are you planning trees? Do you have like a
So,
height of trees that you're
is
looking
a
at?
question I actually have for the board.
Uh-huh.
As it's designed, we can meet the requirements of the book without any waivers, anything. Because I know that's where we start. We have spoken with the woman, so just to orient you to the site, you've got the Swan Pond Road here. The condominium association actually owns out to West Street. There's a strip of woods between our site and what's actually our first real residential abutter. And she and her husband live in the single-family house, and it's about 20, 25 feet above the grade of the site. We've talked with her. She's unfortunately not here, and I don't have anything in writing, so I know the ultimate thing is going to be get something in writing so that we can prove this. But I think when we have offered, rather than build out the full buffer here, because again, there's nothing here. I mean, it is the condominium association, I get it, but they can never build anything there. So the person we're really trying to protect is the lady on top of the hill. And we have offered to put either a fence or additional trees on her land, because that would actually do something for her as opposed to putting a 6-foot fence 14 feet below grade.
Okay.
And if the board were so inclined, the trade-off being is we wouldn't put as much in this buffer area, because we're not really buffering anything, and the structure or the plantings that will actually do what a buffer's supposed to be doing at our cost, we put on her land, and then she can do with as she pleases. But that I need to get some guys to the board, because if you say no, you gotta stick to the book, then that's what we're gonna do. If you're willing to entertain a waiver in that area, then we'd like to explore that, because we think it's actually better for her and better for us, and to nobody's detriment.
Yeah, I think, for me, I'd want to know, I mean, I don't want you to not do anything and just do something on her. So if you want to propose to us, you know, what you are willing to do and what you think would satisfy the requirements, then we can take a look at it.
Yep.
Okay, so that will be forthcoming.
Yes, because I don't have anything to prove what I just told you.
Okay.
So she could change her mind tomorrow. We will put what's in the book.
Okay. All right.
So at a minimum, you're gonna have 2 plans, option A, option B.
Yep.
Okay. Have you shown on the plan the location of fire hydrants? It's on the utility plan? Okay, okay. And the solid waste is going to be done privately?
Yes.
Bin or, okay, okay.
We'll have that discussion with the Board of Health 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
10 days, whatever it is.
Okay. Regarding the lighting plan, I think that was, yeah, you did do a new lighting plan with the reconfiguration. But I wonder if maybe you need a little bit more lighting as you come into the site, in that main pedestrian,
This one or this one?
this, in the corner near the,
Oh, here.
yeah, yes.
We can take one item that we should have for clarification is that we show the pole lighting in the site, but we really don't show the benefit of the actual lights that will be attached to the building. So you'll see once we add that, it certainly light up that area also.
Okay, and all contained within the site, not spilling over, yes, okay. Okay, and then back to the snow.
So, Sarah, I
Yeah.
actually have a question.
Yeah.
So this came up with a different project, different board, but same exact question. The book says don't spill over. We can do that.
Yeah.
And that might be what everybody wants,
Mhm.
but we are not talking about a residential neighborhood here. You're talking about an intersection of a street.
Yeah,
Do you really want us to limit the light, or would you prefer us to actually have a little bit extra so that other people that have nothing to do with us have a slightly better illuminated intersection?
for me, if it's only going in the street, I'm okay with that, and I think would be nice, but definitely not over any streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The snow storage, so you mentioned that you're going to need to haul it out if it's unable to be contained in the site, and that's good. Just want to make sure that you're not blocking any site views or pedestrian travel. And also that you're not maybe covering the landscape that you've proposed. And then just a question, I'm looking at like sheet 6. There's a T with 2 squares around it. What is this?
Sheet 6.
See all my Post-its?
Oh, that's the anticipated location of a transformer.
Transformer, okay.
And when it comes to the transformer location, we can only estimate where it will be, but when the electric company gets involved with the design, it may shift.
May shift slightly.
We just wanted to make it obvious, it will have to be one.
Okay, all right, so those are my questions, thank you.
Okay. Kate?
So I'm glad that you took those 2 out. I think it made a huge difference, just with the circulation and making it not feel so crammed. It's a busy area. I have issues, not with you guys, but with how much development has happened so quick there. That being said, if anything is gonna go in there, I would rather it be something that looks like this than many of the alternatives out there. It's a nice-looking project. What I would like to ask is, and I know, you know, it's my opinion, but I feel Walpole is quickly losing its New England town feel. I feel the center of town is really, other than the Commons and the old police station, it's really going fast. And so I ask you, based on the pictures, just can you confirm for me, is it going to have like a colonial New England feel? The construction that you, from the pictures, it looks that way to me, but I just want to confirm that.
You never let an architect speak about his stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say 2.
My whole life.
He didn't pay me, I swear.
So, what I tried to do. So what we tried to do was really recreate a New England flair. And in order to do that, there's a lot of items or a lot of parts of New England that really connotate, at least to me, comfort and our regional character. And that's the pitches of roofs, trims on the roofs, trims on the windows, types of windows, double hung, and details, pergolas, trellises, board and batten siding, clapboard. So all those pieces of character we've added together and tried to incorporate in this development. And we've broken it down so that everything's not the same roof line, so that there's a lot of jigs and jogs to it, that there's a lot of shadows to it, and that it really has more pedestrian character and comfort, I guess, level.
Warmer.
Yeah, so it's warm and inviting, so you want to come here. I mean, I go to Nantucket and I go down to some of those streets now, it's totally different in that those are even tighter in some of those areas. Houses are very close and it's just basically the street that everybody walks and drives on. But we tried to make it compact enough so you get that feeling of community once you're in the development. So it really was a lot of effort on everybody's part to create this feel. And that's what I tried to do in this mass rendering, is just to give you an idea of that it's really a neighborhood. And it's a neighborhood of connections, of roofs, of chimneys, of different pieces of New England that are happening everywhere, just like it happens in all our neighborhoods that have character and interest. So tried very hard to do that.
Thank you. My, my other concern I had obviously aired greatly was the use. And we talked about enforcement. And you said you didn't want it not used either.
I agree.
Have you come up with any way to control that? Because I know you have the intent, and you did a very good job presenting and explaining, and those were great examples. But as soon as you sell it, you can't control it. So is there any, have you come up with any?
We haven't finished drafting the documents yet. To be honest with you, they're sitting as shells with very little detail until we are pretty sure we're going to have an approval. I think we're going to get there, but I haven't drafted them yet. And they probably won't be finished before we have an approval.
So you're thinking of a strong deed restriction?
Yes. I mean, flat out, I mean, we've already started going through the zoning table. It's interesting what's allowed in the CBD that we definitely don't want here. We found lodging house, we found brewery, in addition to the ones that we knew were there, like restaurants and gyms. So it would be nice, but unfortunately not the character we're going for here.
Unless you want them brewing it out of the bathtubs.
So that is what we're looking at. I'm happy, and I said this before, and we've started the discussions with Mike and Pat, and even Paul has finally paid attention a little bit as to, you know, how going forward does this get monitored. I don't have a final answer for you now, but we will have something, and I don't think we'd be opposed to a condition to saying that we're going to work with the town to assist in enforcement, or so we can figure out exactly how that works. But you know, we're not trying to get away with anything, like
No,
we said.
I understand that.
On what Kate's just said. Now, I'll ask your interpretation, you work for them, but I just wondered.
Sure.
It's a violation.
Yes.
It's a condo. If this was an individual house, they go after the individual. If one of the unit owners violates it, does it become, how does that go? That's what you're gonna have to talk to.
That is, my gut says it's the individual unit owner.
But they don't.
But we'd probably, from the town's perspective, prefer to go after the association,
Well,
let
that's
them go
where
after the unit owner.
there's more, what do you call it?
That kind of goes for every condo association.
Yeah.
So,
I just threw that out there because, well, the other thing, if he hangs something outside that's not, anything outside, as we know in condos, is not theirs, so they'd have to go after the association, so.
yes.
Just give it some thought, I guess, on that. Want to be on the board?
No. That's all I had, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
John?
I had a couple of items, and one's both been brought up to some degree. I was curious if there was only one handicap spot, and you would think you'd want more, but if the bylaws will allow it, I guess. I want to echo Kate's issue about the whole idea behind this setup in CBD is it's a commercial first floor, residential above it. I want to ensure that the first floor is going to be a commercial use, that it isn't just a home office. Home office is still residential to me. It has to be commercial. I understand it's not someone coming in and out every 5 minutes or something. It doesn't have to be a retail store or anything, or you may not even want that, but it has, in my mind, it has to be something that someone comes to. So it's an office, a doctor's office, a dentist's office, a design studio or something that people are traveling to conduct business. It shouldn't be something that's just being done as a home office, that everything's going over Zoom or whatever, telecommunication-wise. There should be people, an influx of people, and there should be provisions for parking for those who do come to do business there. With the other two spots, it seems to be set so that you have room for the occasional customer to handle. But, as Kate said, this is part of the central business district. We want to continue to treat it as a commercial location. I also, as Sarah said, the light at that corner there, the point brought up is, it is an intersection, and it never hurts to have a well-lit intersection. As long as it's not, there isn't really a residential around it, so.
Right.
Helping out the commercial, and that's, looks like it's complex enough that you want it well-lit for people coming in and out of it, you know. The arrows for directions, if in fact it is gonna be like a one-way around it, on the ground, the streets, I think is a good idea. I think the reduction in, by the 2 units has made it a much smoother design. I like the idea of removing the decks and leaving it more of a natural. And I think the idea, putting the buffer up on her yard, providing her something that's gonna be more effective, is a good idea, yeah.
As long as she wants it, we're all for it.
Yeah. Is there a sidewalk on the other side of Spring Street
Yes.
there for them to use? There is one, okay. So that's not an issue, really. And the only 2 parallel parking ones are down at the southern portion then?
Correct.
Everything else is vertical parking next to the buildings and across the street from there, okay. I think the other points have been addressed by other comments, so I'm good.
Great.
Okay. I have a few comments. First, when this came, I like the wiggle room way people do it, because that's what I like to do. But it makes sense, only because you see what we get downtown. Myself, my company, we do a lot of buildings in Boston. This whole first floor is a bunch of crap. It's to get the condos. No one cares. They don't even get rented. They don't even care if they get rented. Money's up top, ain't down below. And as we can see down here, you know, there's more space, I think, in Jerry Russo's building on that first floor than there is in the entire downtown Main Street. So it's basically, this has always been a way to get more housing, and we know that's where the money is. But with this concept, though, is you're not gonna buy into it if you don't want the first floor.
Right.
That's the bigger thing. And if you're gonna buy something like this, I assume that you could go buy another condo of comparable value and size without this, so why would you wanna buy it?
Right.
And the other thing is, you guys are rolling a lot of money into it, so you must have done your homework, because you're not gonna say, build it and they'll come. So I understand the whole concept here, and it's fine, but I do like the fact that, you know, now you won't have individual empty buildings. Doesn't mean some guy's not gonna stack up all his boxes there, but the other thing is, yeah, I know we always talk, we like to do things right, I guess, and have a spot for Federal Express and the package, but you have to see an Amazon guy not even go over your front lawn. The only way you can do is someone shoot him.
All the Amazon ones I see are parking in the street.
They'll go anywhere. They'll do a U-ey right in your front. So that's one of the issues. Now I did my pontification on what you've done. One question, and I'm the one who brought up initially, where we're coming down to at the corner of Spring and West. Oops. First off, yeah, you may want lights, but one thing I will caution is, I forget where I was recently. I was driving, all of a sudden I come around and boom. I thought I was like in someone's front, yeah, I mean, the lights just hit you. They're kind of like, what's that? So I hope that when you do light it, but it's lit enough downward, not when you come under the bridge from town, it just jumps out at you like,
Right.
what
Yeah.
is that? Now, the other thing, and I'll ask the site engineer, is I've never liked handicap ramps with steps. Never made sense. Why don't we just do ramps and leave it alone? Or, and I'm looking at the ramp here, do you need that switchback? I assume that's a switchback because of the grade?
Exactly, because you can only have.
What, 1 and 12?
You can only go 2.5 feet along one ramp before you have a landing.
Yeah, the landing, and then you go down, yeah. So this is a switchback then?
It is.
Okay, so now I understand the reason for the stairs, because I'm not doing a switchback either then. Okay, so that was my only real concern, but I kind of thought that's what it was. Comes an enormous type of deal. Now, I'm looking here is, I know you're gonna do, I know this is your colored plan, but, you're doing little, ADA mats at each one of these driveways, or do you have to? Or, yeah, like if you go,
Looks like they are, yeah.
As you go around the circle.
No, we don't believe we'll have to have the, I mean,
the truncated domes, yeah.
We don't believe we'll have to have those, in the site. We certainly will along west.
No, I
There's
understand
no
that.
ramps?
Oh, there's ramp,
Oh.
but I believe you mean the.
Oh, the yellow things, yeah.
The yellow.
Yeah, the truncated domes, yeah, yeah, but my point is, all these are gonna be dived down at every sidewalk inside the,
Yes.
okay, that's, I didn't see, I know it's purple, I was just curious at that, okay. That was, but it's really, you get nailed on it anyway, one way or another, so I don't have any questions any further than that. I do think you should put on, Phil, the plan is snow storage, that this is limited, and that you should have it right there, so if you get a complaint, it's right on the plan.
Yep.
And it says, we trucked off site.
You don't have much of a choice downtown.
We really don't.
No.
Especially the way
Even we
the
have to do it,
buildings
I mean,
are.
it's, yeah.
You get the guy just to plow it out, and the town just comes along and takes it up West Street. Done. Not that I haven't done that, but.
Now you said it, someone listened.
Oh, and if I may, just speak in for a minute.
That's not a problem, we'll put the note on the plan.
On the-
Okay.
On the site plan, this little orange triangle, that's meant to indicate where ramps at
Okay,
each.
all right, that's what I kind of thought you must have to do, but just wanted to double check. Okay, I don't have any more questions or comments.
I have one question,
Yep.
additional question. Just came to me, there's a couple of spots here where you have the buildings bordering one another. Have you any provisions for someone wanting to buy neighboring units and then combining a first floor into a larger commercial business? Has that come up? or-
Standard provision is they're not allowed to without approval by the trustees. And
But if
that's-
someone wanted to buy two neighboring ones, they could potentially combine or open up the bottom, the first floors?
Potentially, but there'll be a mechanism because it's structural, so you can't just plow
can't knock
plow
the
a
wall
door
out.
through because.
Sure you can.
Yeah, well, you can, but it's probably frowned on in later ownerships. So there will be something that monitors and regulates that.
Okay.
John, I think.
I didn't know if it was a case where each one had to be owned separately, or whether one person could
I mean-
own two adjoining, or...
If someone wants to buy the whole thing, we'll let them. So there's no restrictions.
Now gonna become
Practically speaking,
O'Learyville.
we'll set up a deal. Actually, I can't say that and we get in trouble, so.
Okay, so that answers the question I had anyway, because these are individual units and you access the upstairs through that unit. So it isn't like, I want to live here and I'll let you have my unit because, and you can have that office next to me because he can come up to my house.
Right,
Okay, so that kind of takes care of itself.
exactly.
Okay, and I don't think anybody's going to want to buy have two houses.
I couldn't say it'll never happen, but
Yeah.
that's not really who we think is gonna be attracted here, because if you can afford two of these, you probably have your own office building at that point. Probably.
I understand the concept. It's kind of like the old doctors and, you know, right here in common. Dentists used to be up there and gets them away from the housing itself. I don't have any more comments. Anybody from the audience, if you do, it ask you to come up.
Hi, I'm Mary Wheeler. I live at 14 Mallard Lane over at Highland West. And I guess my biggest concern is about the parking. If you have 22 businesses and you only have 5 or 6 parking spaces for those people to come and go, as he's describing commercial business, that parking will then impact parking at Swan Pond, because there is a lot right over the hill past this development, and it is constantly used by people who do not live there. Every time someone runs into the bridge, trucks are brought into our development so they can be dismantled and taken away. That just happened a few weeks ago. Our entrance on Highland West was compromised for over 3 hours. And in that time period, my son's Metro West ride, because he's handicapped, could not access him, and he did not have a ride. So I have major concerns about the traffic and the parking and where all these cars are going to go. And as for a comment in the earlier piece about the trucks coming down for the drycrete, those trucks impact Spring Street at various times during the day. I'm a teacher, and so when I was working from home last year, and I would go out and about, there were buses that were impacted by those trucks. And so I think that the town needs to do more of a site about where the traffic is there and what type of vehicles are traveling down Spring Street. The only other thing I suggest for these people, if this goes through, is that they put a blinking light where they're going to put their crosswalk, because people speed down West Street. And there have been very, 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 very many near misses in front of 95 West. When the smoke alarms go off at 95 West and all the fire trucks pull down there, there is no way to get around there. And that's a major problem. The traffic in this spot is a major problem. So the fact that they only have 6 parking spaces for a constant flow of customers is problematic for me. Because my feeling is that it's going to spill over into Highland West and onto that road. And there is a large parking lot there for the people who live in Highland West, who may have more than one vehicle, because we only have single-car garages, so that we can have our snow removed from our driveways. And if that parking lot is compromised, then that makes our snow removal compromised. So I would like to have at least some thought about a traffic impact and their parking issue, because I do think that it's going to be a problem.
Okay, well, I'll explain the rules, and then you can yell at me, but under central business, they don't have to provide any parking. It's the town provides it.
So you're telling me that they're coming into a development that's a private development?
They're part of our central business, and you've read the central business. They
Okay.
made this all offices,
Oh, so then where would the parking be then for that then?
the public lots. That's how the central business district is defined in our
Okay.
zoning. So they
All
don't.
right, so then what happens, I guess my question is, what happens when, if that does happen? What happens if that does happen? Then what is the residents of Highlands West recourse to manage the traffic in their development? Because we are a private development as well.
Well, that's private, so it'd be up to you to call the cops and have them towed. Well, you can have them towed anyway. They don't have a sticker, just like any parking lot, just like the new one across the street from Mansell. They all have that little sticker. And if it doesn't say whatever the thing is, gone.
Okay.
You can have them towed. So it's, do people, I'm familiar with Swan Pond, but not that much. Do you guys have little stickers for your cars?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Well, that-
Go ahead.
I'm gonna regret this statement, but I'm on the board. You're right, you don't ever wanna be on boards, Junior Women's Club, Homeowners Association, I need to learn the word no. For that section.
Ma'am, do you want to
Yeah.
come up,
And you
because it's going to be
should-
really
should
hard to
have
hear you.
yellow-
Yes, we do have
Right,
yellow
and
passes,
it-
but there have been many times when that
Okay.
parking lot is filled with cars that don't have yellow
Okay,
passes.
then you need to let one of us on the board know so that we can address it. That's all
Okay.
you need to do. Tom's home all the time. I'm home.
Okay.
I work at home. Not gonna buy one of your places, I'm sorry. But I work at home. You just need to let one of us know, and it is our private parking lot. So, it's not their responsibility, it is our responsibility.
I
So
understand
you
that.
just
I
need to let
understand
us
that.
know.
I'm just asking, has there been a traffic impact placed on? Because there's a lot of traffic happening in that area.
That's a different issue.
Between
That's a
95, yeah,
different
between
issue than
95 and now I'm envisioning we're gonna drop something else on that corner, and people go whipping down through there. So that's why I made the recommendation of a light that they have in front of 95 West. So at least it catches people's attention.
Well, okay, the point is, this went out to the police,
Okay. All right.
I know you
I'm
want to
just-
be here. We can't, that would be a police matter. That's what you have to
Okay.
call them.
All right.
On that. And what we typically get from them is they don't see any traffic impact. Seriously, every time.
That section's.
So if the
Walpole's
police
gonna
would
be
come to us and
traffic
say,
issue
we would like to see a flashing crosswalk here,
Yep.
we would ask for that.
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe it behooves you guys to think about that. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I know that there are plenty of people who try to cross there where the blinking light is at 95, and it is very treacherous for them. And I think maybe for your future residents, it might give them some peace of mind. I'm just making that suggestion then.
Okay, the other thing, so you can understand about parking, each unit comes with 2 spaces, one inside, correct? And one outside. So if you're one person, one car, then your client can always park in your driveway. So that actually, for the most part, doubles the 22 units, so you have a potential for 22 parking places if the person leaves his car in the garage, which if I was a business owner and someone's coming there, I'd make sure they can park in my driveway. Because I can't guarantee them anything else out there. But that is, so you understand, they got one outside and that one underneath. So that's 44 in total, or one per unit plus the extra. So that, and if you think about it if you ran a business, like I said, you're gonna make sure you give the person, you don't want him spinning around.
But I also know that when you're running a business, you usually have more than one person with you who needs a car as well. So where are those additional employees going to park?
You know, they could park in the person's yard, or they can pay to park the T right across the street.
Is that a viable lot? I don't.
Well, yeah, you can park there.
Yeah, I only moved here.
Nothing says you have to take the train to pay to park there.
No, I'm just saying, I don't even know if it was a viable lot. It looks, during the winter time, it's pretty unkept.
Pre-COVID, it's very full.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a T lot. They just get your money and that's it. So, but I don't think they, I don't know, I only say that only because if I'm just gonna go visit someone for a half hour, I know nobody from the T is gonna come down and check me. I get in and out in a hurry. But if I was gonna be there all day, I wouldn't wanna be paying the, what is it, $5 now? I don't even know if they check, so, okay. Anyone else have any questions, comments, sir? Or ma'am? Or-
Steve O'Connor, 35 Clip-On Drive, Walpole. That's the village of Swan Pond. I'm gonna say, I think it's a good-looking development. I'm glad to see the reduction. I think it's still a little bit too tight. It may be a little repetitive here. I think my major concern really is the parking, and I know it sounds like that's not required in the CBD, but realistically, this going forward is putting something in place, which is a guaranteed traffic nightmare down the road. I mean, there's not enough. 22 units, most people have 2 cars these days. These are not gonna be, most of them would not be like a one owner buying a unit of that size with the business down below. If anybody comes to visit, where do they go? You know, you have one person has a party, anything, you know, and a lot of homes already have more than 2 cars. You know, if you get 2 older people and children come to see them and there's a business, there's no overflow parking. You know, there is the MBTA, but honestly, that's not a town lot. I don't think that's the intent. If there's no parking on West or Spring, or there's no viable parking with any reasonable access. So it just is gonna be a problem. And the traffic pre-COVID and again now is getting worse and worse. You know, either in a vehicle or on foot, you know, going to the train station in the morning. Spring Street at West is tough. It's tough to come out on. With the way cars come from West approaching the center of town, they come quickly. It's hard to see with that curve, and I'm concerned. It's gonna be a little harder, I think, with the units here than what it is now. There was some talk about, and it was unclear, did this property, the town's curve encroaches on this now, so it's gonna come further out?
Only at the, I can point out, it's right at Spring Street. You can see this little big
Yeah.
line? That's the property line, so it's only coming in slightly there.
So that's a corner that is very hard to see right now as you come out, you know, and I know the talk with the lighting there would help, or a flashing light. It's risky coming across. I've almost been hit a number of times, and it's something waiting to happen.
Show him where the existing is and we're proposing to move it.
Yeah, but one thing, just to clarify, the curbing is for someone coming into Spring, someone leaving Spring and looking at going back down. And when we looked at this site distance, right now the stop bar is set way back. So to improve the sight line, we're actually proposing to move it closer to West Street. And that's going to improve the sight line.
You know, as it is, you have to keep edging up in order to be able to see.
It is. So what we're proposing is a little more realistic. It's what people actually do.
So again, I think maybe it's technically meeting the parking, but we're building something that's gonna be a problem. In Union and West, you know, people have mentioned the Amazon trucks, people parking, unloading. There's no real signage, or it's not enforced there. I think this, you know, if it goes forward as is, would need something for signage on West in Spring to say, you know, there's no stopping, no parking, just to get that to, just a couple more points. Let's talk about the snow storage a little bit. You know, I don't know where those unit owners put their vehicles while they get plowed. I mean, there's no place for them to go. You know, if this place is gonna be treated after a storm, there's no place to go. It's a little disconcerting to not know what the uses of the businesses are gonna be, you know, not able to put any real restrictions on those at this point, or expectation of what they're gonna be, because those deeds aren't written yet. So you're going forward, just assuming, you know, it's not gonna be a daycare, or it's not gonna be restaurant, or certain things. I mean, it could be anything. And a lot of the description early on sounded more like home office, and I could see there'd be some home, you know, some home businesses, but honestly, 22 in there, I think a lot of it's gonna be empty, people are gonna use it for storage, it's gonna be tough to enforce, and it'll just bring more traffic. And it may meet, you know, by the building inspector's determination that it meets the CBD. I don't agree with that, but I don't think it meets the intent, it's a way around it, but it's gonna have more traffic, and it's not gonna be foot traffic coming to those businesses, so. I think and the last thing is, there is a sidewalk on Spring. It basically comes just a little bit past the entrance to the Swan Pond. It's in terrible disrepair, it's not maintained, you know, and that's the town responsibility, but I don't know if there's anything this development could do as far as mitigation or otherwise, either between flashing lights there, or a lot of people already walked along the edge of this new development. You know, there was a foot path right now, and now these buildings are coming that much closer out there, so. Okay, that's it, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Couple things I'd like to point out for anybody even watching is, one thing, let's remember, this was a functioning site before. This wasn't brand new. There weren't trees there. You had local 104, I believe, and you had the other, it's been many things. So there's always been the entrance in and out, so, and probably not having any more traffic than that. I know what you're saying about the parking, I understand that, but the question to you is if you guys can answer it, because a friend of mine lives in a condo, and I know going to visit, it's a pain. How many spaces do you guys got for visitors, though?
We have quite a bit of overflow.
We have that nice overflow lot that's right behind this, with this building.
Do you go down by the
Literally,
pool?
all you have to do is walk
Okay,
down the
that's
road
where
and
yours
you're
is.
right
I didn't know
there.
where it was. I
Yeah.
was just curious.
Isn't it only like
If you
6
come in
spots
off
or
of-
something?
If you come in off of Spring Street,
Yeah.
onto Clear Pond, right on your right-hand side, that's where the Highlands West
Okay.
overflow is, not by the pool.
Oh, okay.
The pool is for more of the villages and the homes. up there.
Okay, all right. Then I just,
And the villages have, honestly, everybody has a space in the garage, and every driveway accommodates at least one vehicle, and a lot of driveways accommodate two. And there's overflow parking beyond that with each section of, I mean,
Highland West has
there's 9
smaller
spaces.
driveways. There are some driveways that are one car. There are several parking spaces in the middle of the island, but people do use the overflow parking during storms. That lot is full during storms.
okay.
I'm in a group of 7 units, and I think there are 9 overflow spaces
Oh.
right within that.
That's more than I've seen. I'm just curious, because the one I go to is like, where do you go? You end up parking on somebody's grass. Okay, all right, anybody else, anything else? Have you, ma'am?
Yeah, sorry.
All the way up.
So Jen Healy, I'm at 23 Mallard. I'm just gonna try to do a couple things. I thought I could see without. At one point, you guys had talked about the buffer between the house that's up on West Street. What about the buffer at Clear Pond for trees, or what's going on between Clear Pond Drive and here?
Chairman, through you.
Yeah, I pretty much know what you're gonna say. You're gonna put up what you're supposed to. You're gonna put in there what you have
It's not their
to.
land.
Yes, I mean, currently,
Yeah.
the zoning book defines what needs to be a buffer. It's basically 2 lines of trees. It's gonna do absolutely nothing for you, but it's what's required.
What's there right now anyway, too, right?
And that's what it's gonna be.
Okay. How far back will the buildings be? That's my
That's
question, really.
26 feet.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's more.
I'm just curious.
And we made a mention, because you did say you're a member of the board.
Yeah, I know.
Hi. We've been actually trying to talk to someone in management at the condominium, because you actually have a berm that's in fairly dilapidated condition along here.
Yeah, I'm not part of that board, I'm part of the board on this side of the street,
Okay,
but,
well,
yeah.
if anyone actually wanted to talk to us, we
Yeah,
would
that's
be
Swan
more than
Pond.
happy to have a similar discussion to what we had with the lady up here, to actually do something that might work.
We can reach out to Karen. Okay.
And that could be part of our A and B. If you don't want to, that's absolutely fine, we'll do
I
what's
would like
required.
her to, so we'll reach out to
But
her.
We are more than willing
Okay.
to.
Yeah,
try and make
they've
something that
got a
looks better.
professional management company that,
Yeah.
will we'll talk to them. Okay, great.
Can you guys wear like different shirts from different condo associations so we can tell you?
I'm representing the New Women's Club today because I was at the senior center earlier. So, lighting, and this was from the meeting about a month or so ago. There was talk about pole lighting in the back of the units that would possibly overflow into that Clear Pond area.
No, there'll be no pole lighting behind the building.
Okay, because I was just wondering how it was gonna shine in on us or anything. Okay, all right, great, thanks, but that was from that last one. The decks, I guess I really wasn't concerned until I started thinking about it. These decks now gonna be overlooking our backyards.
They're gone.
No, I
No,
thought
the
you just
second floor.
added decks to the second floors.
Go ahead, okay. Then show what you're doing. Out of your 45 minutes.
Decks.
Oh, those. Oh, up
Just
on top,
little
yeah.
tiny.
Yeah, they're not sticking out there.
Yeah.
All the decks happen on top of the garages.
Oh, okay, so there's,
So
not like
there's-
it's coming off of like a second
Yeah.
floor up here.
No, it's
Okay.
sort of in between units.
Okay, all right, thank you for that, okay. All right, so Clear Pond buffer, I'll reach out to Karen and we'll see if we can do something about that. And then decks, and then traffic has been discussed at this point, so, thank you, all set.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Nope. Get 32 minutes? Not you.
I think a lot of people want to go home. I'll be nice.
I think the client probably would
I
say
won't
it too.
filibuster.
Kate?
No, Phil's not here.
When do we expire? November 30th?
Yes, so do you have room in December for us, or are we looking
Yeah,
at,
we could,
after the last meeting, I'm just asking.
yeah, in December?
December 2nd.
Yeah.
You done by then? Steve?
Yeah, it gives you
Plan
almost a-
revisions so December 2nd means they need the plans 2 weeks before. Can we make that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, if not, we should go to the 16th.
You can also talk to the people in an interim too.
Right.
So you can't give them till the day before they're due to draw everything up. But you're used to that. You work for architects. They take all the time, don't they?
Change everything.
Yeah, well, just, okay, this, you can go to second.
If we're not ready, we'll continue like we did last time. but
Okay, well, we need
let's
extension.
take it. Yeah, up and through and including December 31st.
Okay, I'll make that in the form of a motion to allow the applicant up through December 31st, 2021 to take action on this. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second? Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. And the second, we'll continue it to what time, Kate?
7:40?
Okay, 7:40. 7:40. Now, for the people who are here, just for everybody, if you know you're not gonna make it, please let Kate know. And if you guys, whoever wants to call in or notify, so you don't have to traipse down here and sit here and then have us say, no, go home.
I'm getting used to your meetings.
Well, we like having
want
people.
to.
We want,
Don't
wa-
want to, you're right.
yeah, we like people in here. We get
Keeps
paid
us
per
awake.
person. So we will continue it to December 2nd at 7:40, and Mr. Mackey and company will notify it at least the day ahead,
Try.
not the day of. Well, we'd know anyway if the plans aren't in,
Right. I mean, that's clear if they're not in 14 days ahead of time.
which would be what date? Kate, I know them. Oh, I'm sorry.
18th. I have a
18th?
comment for you.
Okay, before you go, Kate.
Seth?
If any of you guys want to call in by the 18th of November, he has to have the plans in. If they're not in, we're just going to tell you he can't go on. So you could know by as soon as the 18th. Okay.
My eyes thank you, because we get so many plans and they look like someone drew them with a little teeny pencil. You can't see any of the lines. These are so nice and dark and clear.
That's because I've had
Thank you.
other members who complain about the big plans taking up too much, the full size.
I usually have to sit with my phone and go like this.
Okay, so we will continue this December 2nd at 7:40 and give the call on the 18th or 19th.
Kate,
See
I
if the
assume
plans
you want
were-
the letter saying formal extension? Are you in tomorrow? Have it to you on Monday then.
She works for the town, am I in tomorrow's Friday?
I asked.
Weekend's already started.
She's working.
It's almost Christmas.
10:30 at night. What time is it? It's on the clock right now, Jack.
I know.
Not like us poor schleps doing this for free.
So Kyle, how well you spoke.
Mr. Johnson, I'd like to thank you for all your goodwill and input tonight. It is one. Matter of fact, I think you've been more valuable than Kyle has most of the time.
Let's ask for him instead.
So,
I know when to speak.
when to,
Not to?
so how did you screw up that? You guys screwed up Plain Street, not Plain,
we gonna adjourn?
Lincoln.
Got,
Are we
Plain
gonna
Street
adjourn?
got
Yeah, I'll
paved.
make them.
No.
Or is getting paved because we
Motion
did
to
a water
adjourn?
main on it
Yep.
last year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to adjourn. Yeah,
Second?
we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.